Okay, so welcome guys to another live stream. I'm a bit late, maybe like 6 minutes late because I had some technical difficulties. What actually happened was when I went to turn on my camera, I realized that I had left it on all day. Well, since the last stream, so the battery was dead. So I had to find my spare battery, which took some time, so that I could change it. So yeah. That's why we were slightly late today, but how is everyone doing? And how does everyone feel about the latest Loewe Runway Show? Hello, Emily. Hello, Elle. The Urbans are in the chat. Urban timing. That's hilarious. Yeah, the Urbans are always here. Attack of the Urbans. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, it'll be interesting to know what everyone's kind of feeling was around the show. Of course, there are many different aspects to it. I feel like with a lot of J.W. Anderson collections, he makes you explore new things, new topics, new ideas. If you think of, things like past collections that have been inspired by pottery from Cornwall, or he makes you talk about, old films and things like that. So something I've always appreciated from J.W. Anderson is he has a way of making us discover new things, making us discover new artists, making us discover new architects or old architects. And I kind of feel he's almost like Tebe Magugu in that sense, where I always feel like when I look at a Tebe Magugu collection, I know that he's about to reference some South African books that I've never heard of, and I'm going to have to read them, and I'm going to learn so much about South African history, culture, and I do get that same vibe from J.W. Anderson with a lot of his collections. I'm always learning new things, so that's something that I've always appreciated from his work. But to kind of jump into this collection, so this collection really is a celebration of the singularity of few artists from the 20th century. So there's a clear focus on the philosophies of 5 different artists from the 20th century, and that forms the basis of what this collection is. So we're going to kind of read through the show notes quickly so that I can kind of explain the work of these 5 people, what they did, how it relates to this Loewe collection and J.W. Anderson's work. And then we'll look at the runway show, obviously look at the looks on Vogue Runway after, and then we'll kind of just do things that way. I'm happy this is earlier. Hello, Urbans. Yeah, I do want to make some streams earlier. I always think that this time isn't great for Americans because it's close to 8 p.m. in the UK. And in the US, that would be like 2 p.m.-ish, 3 p.m.-ish, 1 p.m.-ish, depending on where you are, which I would assume that people would still be at work. So I think it depends. Kate says, I love the collection. The balloon pants were perfect. Yes, J.W. Anderson does love a balloon pant, to be fair. Human you says it's not. I just don't work on Mondays. It's almost 3. Exactly. Exactly my point. Exactly the point I was making. But anyway, yeah, continuing, like I said, we're going to read some of the show notes. So something I want to talk about, because the first artist we're going to talk about is Peter Hujar. So I'm just going to have like a Google page up so you can kind of look at the work that's being referenced as I talk about it. So let me see if I can share that on the screen quickly. So anyway, to read the show notes, it says, the Loewe Spring Summer 2025 Men's Show unfolds around a group of objects created by some of the most singular artistic voices of the 20th century. This seemingly disparate assembly is an exercise in curational subjectivity and narrative association. It channels Susan Sontag's call for erotics of art, privileging sensual pleasure over interpretation. Peter Hujar, Charles Rennie Mackintosh, Carlo Scarpa, and Thek are united by their fierce adherence to independence and artistic freedom. Each pursued their work with quiet radicality. In their hands, everyday objects are elevated to the extraordinary. A chair, a coat stand, and an easel possess the complexity of a building. A photograph of a single shoe becomes a monument, and a scattering of whimsical artifacts are enshrined in bronze. And so that's a clear reference to a lot of when you look at the runway show, all of these artists' work is kind of like part of the set in an exhibit. So like Adele said, the set felt like a compilation of distinct memories of a sort. I didn't read any show notes, but it being different artists and styles makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So it's actually their work being exhibited in different ways on the set. So for example, what you're looking at on the screen is a photograph by Peter Hujar, which is a single stiletto in the top left corner. And there was actually a picture frame of that on the set. So it's kind of like if you didn't read the show notes, but you knew the work of each of these artists, you would kind of know, it's kind of like a signifier. You would know that, oh, so this collection has something to do with this kind of artist or what this artist is doing, and there's a relation there. Charles Mackintosh is the GOAT. This collection should be good then. I mean, I did love the collection. I think it just depends how you interpret it. But anyway, continuing. So the first theme, because in the show notes, they basically talk about the work of each artist and kind of how it relates to the collection. So to start with Peter Hujar, it says, Peter Hujar, 1934 to 1987, is celebrated for his black and white portraits of friends, lovers, and protagonists of the downtown New York scene of the 1970s and 80s. Hujar's meticulous attention to composition, lighting, and the craft of the photographic print lend his works a physical intensity. Hujar also captured landscapes, animals, and objects, including the single high-heeled shoe shown as part of this presentation, demonstrating his innate ability to infuse the seemingly banal with profound meaning and resonance. And I think this is really interesting because kind of going through this idea of Peter Hujar taking a photograph of a single thing and sort of creating intrigue over something that is seemingly banal, something that we associate with every day, just things that, you know, people wear day to day, and transforming it into something more interesting is something that is a theme across the whole collection. I mean, you have feathers styled on faces that I showed when I first came on the live. And a feather is something that you just see, you know, it's part of birds. We kind of just see feathers all around us, especially with birds being everywhere. But at the same time, we don't stop to think about what is it about feathers that makes them so interesting? What is it about, you know, the fact that feathers insulate birds and all these things? So it really, you can take something very simple and singular and create more intrigue through it. So he's done that in this collection, and that's a reference to Peter Hujar's work. It's kind of like adding emotion and narrative to mundane objects. So that was really cool. The next artist is Charles Mackintosh, which someone said it must be good if they're referencing Charles Mackintosh. So in the set of this collection, actually, you see the Moon Chair by Charles Mackintosh. But to read what it says in the show notes, it says, Charles Rennie Mackintosh, 1868 to 1928, was a pioneering Scottish architect and designer celebrated for his distinctive language built on an innovative fusion of styles. The fluidity of Art Nouveau, the minimal clarity of Japanese design, and emerging modernist principles. His work encompassed architecture, interior design, and furniture, often brought together to create complete decorative environments. The half moon chair and the hat, coat and umbrella stand were designed in 1897 for the luncheon room of the Argyle Street tea rooms. The chair, one of the architect's most complex furniture constructions and inspired by traditional ladder-back chairs, was later used in Mackintosh's own flat in Glasgow, which he designed with his wife, Margaret MacDonald, in 1900. So once again, this is something else that was part of the set of the collection. Moving on, another artist that was mentioned was Carlo Scarpa. And there's an easel design, which I'll put on the screen, which is a reference to Carlo Scarpa and is also part of the set of the collection, which is why I'm actually explaining this, so that I can add context to what you're seeing when I play the runway show. It's just better for it to make more sense. But anyway, it says Carlo Scarpa, 1906 to 1978, was an influential Italian architect and designer whose unique body of work is characterized by meticulous craftsmanship and innovative use of materials. Projects such as his renovation of the Castellavecchio Museum in Verona and the Bryan Cemetery in San Vito di Attivole, I'm definitely not good at Italian, showcases mastery in combining concrete, wood, glass, and metal with designs that emphasize sensory experience. Scarpa's furniture designs exemplify his design philosophy, each piece carefully constructed to showcase the natural beauty of the materials and often incorporating subtle yet intricate joinery techniques as seen in his easel, which he designed in 1995, which once again, relaying that back into the collection, kind of this idea of like weaving techniques and joining of fabrics. There are many different references to this in the collection. You'll see like a brown coat that on the left-hand side, it's kind of like this faux leather, and it's like a fabric gradient that sort of slowly transitions into kind of like this ostrich like fabric, which is very interesting. Also, you see different pieces that are sort of like good interpretations of what a woven piece can look like, or interlocking fabrics. So that was a reference to Carlo Scarpa's work. You also have Susan Sontag, who is an art critic, a very, very famous historical art critic. And this is actually something really interesting. So I'll read it and then I'll say what I find really interesting about this. So it says Susan Sontag, 1933 to 2004, was an American writer and intellectual. Paul Thek and Peter Hujar were among some of the many artists she befriended and wrote about. Against Interpretation, written in 1966, is perhaps her best-known work. In a titular essay, Sontag counters what she sees as a negative turn in contemporary criticism towards fixing or imposing meaning onto a work of art, believing that interpretation is the revenge of the intellect upon art. Instead, she believed in the mystery of the art object and the beauty of allowing the viewer to engage with it in their own terms. And that's such a contemporary way to think. It's kind of like in an indirect way, J.W. Anderson saying himself that I don't like this kind of singular idea of what my work can represent or what my work is. I do actually quite enjoy this idea of, people taking their own interpretations out of my work, right? I do enjoy that, people can take different meanings out of the same thing. And that's actually the beauty in art. So it's kind of going against this idea that, people trying to overinterpret things as this is exactly what this means and no other meaning is relevant, kind of going against that and sort of giving people the allowance and the space to take different meanings from the work, which is something that J.W. Anderson has kind of mentioned before. So it's very interesting for him to kind of bring this idea back in a different collection. Because I really do like that understanding of things. And I think a lot of designers are like that. Rei Kawakubo is another designer that comes to mind, where she doesn't really like doing interviews. She doesn't like, interpreting her work to journalists, because she does enjoy this sort of symbiotic process between the consumer and the designer, where you kind of take your own meaning based on your personal experience and kind of what you're seeing and how you interact with her work. That's something I really, really do enjoy about it. Leah says Susan Sontag's Against Interpretation is a pretty good book. I totally agree. I like that he doesn't really play into the zeitgeist. Yeah, same. Like I said, J.W. Anderson is always something that that I think is definitely not a thing, definitely not something. Someone that I do enjoy the way that he kind of questions things and sort of pushes different ideas and sort of gets you to think about different things through his collections. And the last artist we're talking about is Paul Thek. So Paul Thek obviously is really famous for the personal effects of the Pied Piper. That is something that was also on the set in the collection. So I'll just read kind of what's in the show notes, and then we can watch the runway show and actually look at the clothes and not just talk on and on and on about the narrative. So it says, Paul Thek, 1933 to 1988, is one of the most original artists of the post-war period, working in painting, sculpture, and immersive narrative installation. Thek explored the universal themes of transformation and the ephemeral nature of existence. The personal effects of the Pied Piper was originally created in 1975 and 76, based on the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. It comprises a collection of everyday objects cast in bronze, arranged on the ground to evoke the titular character's forest dwelling. So that's very interesting that he also wanted to bring that to the fore with this collection. Yeah, so I shouldn't overanalyze the pigeon bag by J.W. Anderson. I thought it was a critique of the FBI watching over you wherever you go. I guess what J.W. Anderson is presenting is saying that I don't mind whatever thing that you take from my work. I don't really mind. Like, take your own meaning from it. So if that's what you take from it, then so be it. There's a beauty in that. It's also what Susan Sontag was presenting, right, through her ideas. So actually, it doesn't matter how you interpret it. So birds aren't real. However you want to interpret real life things that you see is up to you. But that's the beauty of kind of the idea that he wanted to bring through in this collection, right? That's the whole point of it. Y'all cooking, we big brain thinking. That's hilarious. So yeah, as you guys can now see, because now we've gone through the context, you'll see the different aspects of the set that are references to the work of each artist. That's very clear to see. The effects of the Pied Piper there. And then it's very interesting because the first few looks of the collection were sort of these black, sharp tailored looks that J.W. Anderson referred to in an interview with Vogue as these razor sharp looks. This is very interesting. I wonder why there's a breakage between, you know, this sharp tailoring and then going into more creative looks. Is it because he's referencing architects in this collection and it's kind of like a show of, structure and lines and shapes that he wanted to have a distinctive focus on? Something I also like is all the footwear in this collection was very similar, which to me seemed, once again, going back to that image that he displayed by Peter Hujar. It's kind of like this look of, we're focusing on a very singular thing, that you can focus on one thing and add narrative to it to make it more interesting. The same thing with the feathers. We kind of talked about that earlier. He also did actually have a quote about the feathers, sorry, in his Vogue interview, which I thought was quite interesting. Because I think he said that the feathers were there to kind of divide our view of the faces beneath them, which is kind of, it makes sense in the context of this collection. It's kind of changing us to force our perspective in a different place, which once again goes back to Peter Hujar and how we can be looking at the same thing, but changing the position of where they're placed completely changes how we view the work and completely changes where our focus is, which is so interesting. Such an interesting concept to bring forward, right? Because if he put the feathers on the trousers, I don't think you would look at the face as much, but just by putting the feathers on the face and how it looks and how unusual it looks, it kind of forces us to look there and be intrigued as to why there are feathers, focused like over the face, covering the face. Gian says Philosophy Tube has a video about the meaning of art, and she discusses Susan Sontag's book. That's cool. Silvertone brass. I love this look, by the way. All of it is like an interlocking knit, but then they're kind of these balloon pants made out of like interlocking knits. And it's kind of this, it just reminds me once again of like Sean McGear trying to take this interlocking knit idea to McQueen, but then making it sort of bulbous in the way that J.W. Anderson does. That doesn't really work for McQueen. But I do love it on a J.W. Anderson designed collection for Loewe, though. You've even got golden shoes. I'm copying either these or the other wrap pants. Yeah, I did like those actually. I really did like those. Balloon pants looking like Yoji. I mean, yeah, when we do see balloon pants, we do associate that with Yoji, but obviously Yoji is not the only person that thought of pants with a wide silhouette. He definitely didn't invent that. So it's fair game. This brown coat, by the way, is the coat that I was saying that just went. Is a coat that I was saying goes from a fabric gradient from faux leather to like this ostrich effect leather. The reinterpretation of the moto jacket and gingham are cool. I totally agree. I also like that some of the coats they kind of bended outwards, which once again is kind of following this idea of transforming mundane things into things more interesting. You know, when you look at a coat, you take it for granted, kind of like the work that has gone into creating that shape. But by adding a little touch of something weird, it turns it from something that we just associate as, oh, it's another coat, to, oh, that's interesting. How does it even do that? And then it creates a discussion around the clothing. So I find it funny, Leo said Loewe taking on a new meaning of peacocking. This reminds me of the mica fit with the plaid skirt layer. I also love this sort of belt detailing that they were doing, that J.W. Anderson was doing in this collection. It's kind of interesting how certain things become similar across a season, like the fact that Prada had those, you know, belts as part of the trousers, and then Loewe were doing kind of like this circular belt detailing with a cropped top. That's very interesting, and it's also what he said was it's kind of like this circled belt that's spiraling down the stomach to create this sort of idea of a garment that's both divided and unified. The way that they've done the pleats on the pants is lovely. Is that belt part of the pants and the shirt? I don't actually know, you know. When we go on Vogue Runway, I'll have a closer look to see if it's like separate or to see if it's part of the piece. But that's a good question to ask. Okay, Cornbow is asking the same question. As a belt wrap around or is it all one piece? That's actually something good to examine when we look at the looks closer. I even like how in this idea of transforming something mundane into something more interesting, a lot of the t-shirts have really weird silhouettes. Like there, he's done a print that makes it look like an interwoven t-shirt, but it's actually a print. Or like t-shirts like this, where he's kind of played with the silhouette a bit to kind of transform a t-shirt from something that's very simple and mundane to something that, you know, is intriguing to the eye and intriguing to look at. Let's see what Al Yama says. I interpreted something very innocent and nostalgic about the show, like a child playing in their artsy parents' wardrobe, exploring the house, the feather boa, long belts, the fit of the clothes. Yeah, and I do get a lot of this vibe from J.W. Anderson's work, especially at his namesake label. Not so much at Loewe. I know Loewe, a lot of his recent collections at Loewe have been very surrealist. But when it comes to, you know, like the movies and the films that he explores with his namesake label, and that's why you'll see people with broken skateboard sweaters and all this kind of things. It does seem very like playful and kind of like dreamy. I do get that aspect and that element from a lot of J.W. Anderson's work, to be honest. Everyone is very curious about if the belt is one piece or not. So that'll be very interesting when we look closer to see if there are any um bits that show that. Let me even go on on their Instagram page to see if there's a specific video that they've done around that look. Okay, I don't think they have. The focus seems to be on the feathers. The plaid kind of reminds me of neo-grunge. The silhouette is relaxed. That's an interesting read of the collection. I do love that silhouette of trousers, like the wide trousers. That is exactly the silhouette of trousers that I personally like to wear. So good. Even like down like the bottom of those trousers there, that sort of curve downwards, is also just like a very interesting play on, the zip part of the trousers where the zip normally is, and kind of putting your eyes there and kind of creating intrigue around that, right? Leo says this collection is very Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, it's really cool. I even think something that I'm just remembering that he said in his interview was that the reason why he wanted to do those suits as the first looks, because I remember earlier I was like questioning why would he do that, but then I remember he said in an interview that the reason why he wanted to do the black suit is because he kind of wanted to represent this idea of things that are really difficult to do, but then when you see them it feels effortless and you don't really think too much about it. So like tailoring is something that is extremely difficult to master, as we all know. But then when people just look at a suit, they don't really appreciate that so much work has gone into it, or so much craft has gone into making sure that the fit is really good. So that was kind of an interesting concept, and also falls into this idea of like who he was referencing, the artist he was referencing, and all that sort of stuff. That soft leather tote bag is a sales winner. I totally agree. So for guys that just were seeing the show for the first time now, or people that have seen the show before, what's your final verdict on the collection? What did you guys think? Here we've got the lease, we've got close up of the trousers. This is the brown coat that I said is like a fabric gradient, which is so interesting because most designers always do color gradients, but it's designers have done it before, but it's rare to see a designer do like a gradient of fabric in one piece. That's very interesting. This is also the piece that I said has this kind of interesting print that kind of makes it look like a cable knitted piece, but it's not, with this like gold edging and lining. Really, really cool. This is one of the coats I said has that permanent twist to it that kind of turns a coat that an everyday coat that's beige that you see everywhere to something a bit more interesting and intriguing to the eyes. Oh yeah, these were the gold shoes in the collection. J.W Anderson for CFD, hey, designer of the year again. Hey, I wouldn't be mad if he won it, to be fair. I wouldn't. I would not be mad at all. Yeah, I wonder what embossing technique they've used too. I wish they talked more about it, maybe in the show notes or somewhere. I think that would have been really interesting, to be fair. Um, Also, most people, when I was like looking around, like kind of what they're doing with this show, a lot of people were just talking about the fact that Wang Yibo is the Loewe global ambassador. I just every time I find it so intriguing and interesting how the ambassadors that they choose create so much intrigue and attention for the brands, especially the Asian ambassadors. It's so interesting because a lot of these people I don't know who they are, but they're so influential, especially in Asia. Just seeing some more interesting iterations of the bags. We've got the gold feathers. Okay, gas pulling up. Let me see if there's anything else interesting on the Instagram. Anything interesting they want us to see. Okay, yeah, this is one of the pieces. kind of the neckline shifted to one side to just create more intrigue to an otherwise just long sort of like funnel neckline on a piece. That's really cool. I like that. The bottom of a sweater kind of being shaped like the pattern of the top and kind of fusing into one piece, because people don't I don't think people realize, but this whole look is actually just one piece. But he's kind of created the separation with the pattern to where it joins to the trousers, which is really, really interesting. Kind of like play on eyes there. Dolce Jean says, I think he's one of the leaders in the industry for execution of art-driven ideas into clothes. I totally agree. I totally agree. I'd say J.W. Anderson isn't afraid of materials, and I so appreciate it from an established brand in 2024. And I think it makes sense for Loewe, right? Loewe, yes, it's like more about leather, but I guess in the context of leather, it's about a focus on materials. So Loewe kind of always playing with materials under J.W. Anderson and kind of seeing how they can transform materials and use them in different ways, use different techniques to kind of make materials look like things that they're not. I think that that's so on brand for a brand that has such a singular focus on a certain material as part of its history. I think it makes so much sense. Al says they worship celebrities over there. If they endorse something, it's getting bought, period. So celebrities in Asia are the supreme influencers. I can see a lot of young male A-listers wearing these looks on the red carpets. Yeah, definitely. And like interesting looks, not just like the boring ass tailoring that, a lot of men wears, kind of like not even trying to wear anything remotely creative in any sense. Oh yeah, these were the Oxfords that came out with a lot of the suited looks that they wanted to focus on. But anyway, let's go on Vogue Runway and have a look at some of the design details of the pieces closer. And then after, just out of curiosity, I want to go on their website to have a look at some of the prices of these clothes, because at this point, I think luxury prices really, really fascinate me because they're just so out of hand and so out of pocket. I just like to know kind of what are these brands charging these days. I think I was saying earlier in the live stream that I bought this Prada bucket hat years ago in a Prada store for £250. And the last time I checked their website to see how much they're selling Prada bucket hats, I think it was like £600. So yeah, it's so insane. Like 10% inflation. They're like, because all these luxury brands, they keep saying that, oh, the reason why we increased our pricing is because of inflation. And it's like, okay, cool. So 10% inflation equals a 300% price increase. Cool. Interesting. Cool, cool, cool. Exactly. 3 times more expensive for a third of the quality. It's quite hilarious. Yeah, the earlier looks, like I said, were kind of like sharp tailoring. Like I said earlier, it's a very interesting concept, kind of this idea of suiting and just suits in general being really incredibly difficult to master. However, people take it for granted and kind of look past the craft that goes into it. And when you look at someone wearing a suit, especially a black suit, there's nothing super intriguing about it. And he wanted to kind of play with the idea and kind of question the way that we think about these pieces. Prada doing economics hard. Prada economics. 10% inflation equals a triple price increase. Prada economics. I still find it funny that Adele says, close your eyes if you see leather pants. That's funny. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I like kind of what he's done once again, because it's this whole collection is about taking things that we see as mundane or everyday, or we see them as usual and we take them for granted, and transforming them slightly. So even here, what he's kind of done here, I like that. The way this bends, even the fact that there's a crazy cutout at the neck of the biker jacket, because normally biker jackets would sit kind of higher up here. That's really interesting. People are still laughing about Prada economics. That's how Prada economics works, guys. I do also really love J.W. Anderson's accessories. I think, once again, when I said like Prada, Pharrell Williams, Louis Vuitton, they're making good accessories for men. Loewe are also making really good accessories for men. Kind of like I wonder how they've made this piece. This almost looks like a ceramic, but it probably isn't. But that's really cool. It would be so good to see that up close. It'll be really, really interesting to see that look up close. And I think this has used a similar technique to make this piece. Then you've got the Oxfords there. That was a big focus in this collection. I feel like there are enough suits in the world to the point where the only reason brands should make more is if they play with the silhouettes like Kiko. Yeah, I guess so. But I do think that one of the biggest issues with tailoring is just the fact that people don't even know what good tailoring looks like. So I think there needs to be a lot of discourse around just the craft of tailoring, and kind of why tailors are so important, and why certain silhouettes work on some bodies and certain silhouettes don't work on other bodies, and all that sort of stuff. So I think there are enough suits, but are good suits though? Like, a lot of off the rack suits are quite horrible in quality, quite horrible in silhouette and shape. And because bodies are so singular, they're so unique. Kind of even the idea of off the rack tailoring is kind of strange. It's almost like set up to fail, in terms of like set up for nothing to fit right on most people. I like what Leo is saying, that they look like iridescent seashells. Zara interns are in the studio as we speak, trying to replicate that biker. Chill, the way people would be picking the wrong size suits when I worked in Banana Republic. Yeah, I just think most people don't have a really good understanding of tailoring, or like an understanding of the craft of it, or like the fact that, like, if you go to a high quality tailor, just to find the right silhouette for your body, they might add padding in like weird parts of the jacket to kind of give it balance. Like, it's so complicated at the highest level. Tailoring is really, really complex. J.W. Anderson's clothes seem to have appeared in a Wes Anderson film. It's amazing. Loewe are so rancid. Seriously, the Loewe shops are so rancid. And look at this now. When you say the Loewe shops are rancid, in what sense do you mean? Also, even kind of how he's transforming shirts to kind of give them this cape-like silhouette is another play on transforming mundane things into things that create more intrigue, which obviously is a theme across this collection. I mean, look at this. This is another, take on a biker style sort of like leather jacket, kind of like those what do they call them again? Like what's the name of jackets that have that middle zip with the tiny collar? Kind of like an Eisenhower leather jacket that's cropped and then kind of made more flowy at the bottom, kind of made wider at the bottom to give it a very interesting way that it moves when you walk. Okay, so Pillar says the brand, some ad campaigns were terrible. Oh, damn. The image we had of Loewe, very old school, full of people from Japan, but dusty. Damn. Was that Was that the image of Loewe? Guys, what was your viewpoint of kind of what Loewe was before J.W. Anderson went there? The thing about Loewe is like before J.W. Anderson, Loewe was a brand that I didn't really care for in the sense that I read about the history of Loewe when I first got into fashion, but I didn't really care what was going on there till J.W. Anderson went there. So I wasn't really tapped into kind of what the marketing campaigns even looked like and how the stores were, what was it like, what was the mood around the collections, what was the mood around the brand. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking you guys, what was your kind of thought process around the time? A Spanish posh brand. Peter says it was very gay. How is Loewe a very gay brand? Yeah, the pants were knitwear. I think I said it during when we were looking at the runway video, but yeah, they're all like a cable knit, top and bottom. So yeah, the balloon pants were knitted. They have definitely remade their image, colorway, store experiences, etc. for the better. J.W. Anderson legit turned it into a near mainstream luxury brand. Yeah, facts, especially even concerning how much money they make. Like it's been super successful under J.W. Anderson. They made so much money. It's insane. It's actually quite disgusting how much money they make. Pilar says the brand was improving before Anderson in the last decade. Loewe had quality but no hype. So Pedro is saying that J.W. Anderson essentially brought his culture into Loewe and kind of made sure that that was woven to make Loewe more interesting. That's a cool take. Okay, we've got kind of repeated themes. I really love these wrap trousers, by the way. Absolutely love them. These like permanently wrapped trousers. Such a nice silhouette. And on the runway, they moved really nicely. I'm a big fan of those. Okay, let me see what that bag looks like. If they have, okay, it's the like. Someone earlier said that this reminds them of like the way that Micah styles trousers, where he'll wear like this sort of like wraparound sort of flannel piece around trousers, and kind of J.W. Anderson is using it as a permanent style signifier. That's cool. This is the brown coat once again. I said the fabric, it's a fabric gradient. So this is kind of like a faux leather, and it kind of gradually sort of goes on a gradient to this like ostrich style kind of thing here, which is cool because there's also from a distance, I can imagine, and this is definitely intentional, from a distance, because the color gets darker as you go to the right hand side, people might just think that it's a color gradient jacket until you get closer and you realize that, oh, the fabric also changes too as you go from one side to the other. So I find that really, really interesting. Balenciaga combined shirt trousers, exactly. Cornbow says like wrapping a flannel around the waist. Yeah, it's like it's Demna's understanding of repackaging grunge and commercializing it. Is my best way to say, like when he does those kind of like flannels wrapped around wide trousers type of thing. That's what he's doing with that. It's kind of like a grunge reference. Even here, once again, I was saying earlier that kind of talking about the different ideas of weaving garments and different techniques you use to weave garments and what you can do with that, which is a reference to Carlo Scarpa's work. It's kind of interesting how he has these vests that kind of like interlinked. I think that's like metal, these metallic interlinked woven pieces, which is really, really cool. I really want to know how they made that. That's so cool. How do you wash this? If like if this gets dirty, I can imagine if it's actually like if the coating is proper metal, it probably won't ever get dirty. But if it does, how do you wash that shit? Like Rachel says, I love a repackaged grunge moment. How the hell do you wash that? That's so interesting. Even I like what he did with the coat with this kind of like scrunching at the middle there with the buttons and kind of where the lapels and the collars they kind of meet here, and then the collar sort of extends to the bottom, so it's kind of like a collar that goes all the way from the top all the way down to the bottom of the jacket. It's kind of taking something mundane. I keep saying this, but it's just the inspiration of the collection. So it's kind of, taking a collar that we think of as every day. We just think, oh, we look at a collar on a jacket and we're like, oh, that's cool. It's a collar, it's a jacket, whatever. And kind of really focusing and honing in on that as a style signifier and as a design element of clothing, and turning that into a big part of what the coat actually is and forcing you to focus on the collar, which is cool. And I also like that there are 4 buttons, so it's like it's kind of like you've got 2 different collars, because normally when you wrap around where the buttons are at this point, that's really cool. Okay, Joe says they had a video of how they made it. It's all metal like a watch link. Where's the video, by the way? I'd love to watch it on the stream. Is it on Instagram or is it on their YouTube channel? I'd love to watch that actually. Christian says, I wonder how this coat closes. That's actually a good point. Let's see if we can maybe, I don't know, there must be something in the middle there that kind of connects all 4 collars. I feel like that's probably how it closes, but it's not that clear. But that's actually a very interesting comment actually. It'd be cool to see like when they start selling these, like people's experience of them, like how they actually close and stuff. But I can imagine not many people will buy it. It's more of like a very interesting conceptual thing that won't sell. You clean that with baking soda like silver. That's a good point, to be fair. Just fill a bucket with baking soda and throw the interlinked metallic vest into a baking soda bucket. You can tell these designers were working so many ideas and details with mad execution. Yeah, 100%. But that's kind of what J.W. Anderson has always done with Loewe. It's kind of this, yes, he has these artful sort of surrealist references, but he also is very much about craft at Loewe. It's fun. His Loewe is fun. Do you remember that collection that had all those interesting food heels? Like you'll have like an ice cream heel or like a basketball heel, like all this like really fun stuff that's really cool. And those heels, by the way, they sold like hotcakes. Like a flower heel, where the heel is actually a flower, like all those things. Those things sold like crazy. And they're really, it's like an interesting way to commercialize something, an idea that's surrealist and conceptual. So I think that's something that he's always done. Okay, so people were asking if the belt is part of the piece or if it's like detachable. So it looks kind of like that's the piece because there's no belt loop or anything. So it's looking like, yeah, this kind of like circular detailing with the belt is part of the piece. And it's cool. It's interesting considering that Prada didn't have some, didn't, it wasn't that similar, but kind of like fusing a belt into the trouser as part of the piece is something that Prada also played with. Don't say craft, Demna will appear. I like how this isn't a 100 plus look show either. It's concise but has enough depth within the collection, knowing how to stretch ideas in a cohesive manner. I'm definitely with you on that one. I'm definitely with you on that. So yeah, it's very much looking like, I wonder if, because obviously this belt looks like part of the shirt, and then this trouser, these like the denim, the jeans, the belt is also part of it. So I wonder if it comes as one whole piece, as in shirt and trousers because they're connected. So that's very interesting. How would you like wear that? You'd have to like wear the shirt first and then put your legs through the belt bit and then pull the trousers up. It must be detachable because that would be so difficult to wear as one piece. But as a look though, it's really cool. My thick thighs wouldn't fit if I wanted to wear those. My thick thighs wouldn't fit within the space here for me to be able to put them on normally. Because normally when I put trousers on, I have to like undo the zipper and the button so I can put my leg inside easier. So that would be very interesting to see how people wear that if people do buy those. Do you think that would do well commercially? Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's an interesting idea. I think the version that will do well commercially is the Prada version, where it's kind of like a belt joined to the trouser. I think that would definitely do well commercially, more so than this Loewe look. But I think the Loewe look definitely looks more interesting to the eye, but I think that the Prada look will be more successful commercially for sure. Someone said, not your thunder thighs. My thick thighs wouldn't allow it, guys. Here again, he's kind of just playing slightly with the silhouette of the coat. Also, props to J.W Anderson. Look at the lining. That lining damn near looks like it's wool. That looks like wool. Fair enough to J.W Anderson. Yeah, it literally looks like a wool fabric they've used as a lining. Because why it's so important is so many brands, because they're cutting corners, the outside looks really nice. And people that sew know all about this, right? People that sew know that a lot of these luxury brands now, despite how much they charge, the despicable prices of how much their stuff costs, the linings for a lot of things are trash for a lot of luxury brands. That's why when I go to a luxury store or when I'm going to Reese or I'm looking at luxury clothing up close, the first thing I look at is the inside. Because normally it's very indicative of how good a designer is craft-wise, or if their clothes are good quality, just looking at the lining. Even sometimes when I'm on like a judging panel for students for like the BFC, the British Fashion Council and stuff like that, I normally, when I'm looking at students' work, the first thing I look at is the lining. If it's messy, I know that they're not a designer that has a lot of attention to detail, and they have a lot to learn in terms of how to construct garments properly, the proper way. Or they're just cutting corners, which is also bad. So yeah, it's great to see designers that actually make their clothing as beautiful on the inside as on the outside too. Jara says, this is such a strong collection, so well executed in its artsiness while also being very wearable. I'm definitely with you on that. And those really wide and cargo trousers are not even that new. It's quite common to see that kind of trouser sold in Japan. Yeah, I said earlier when we were talking about, someone said that the trousers remind them of Yohji Yamamoto balloon pants, which I can see that because Yohji's balloon pants are inspired by some traditional silhouettes from Japan. And that was actually, if you watch documentaries, I can't remember what documentary it was, where Yohji was basically saying that one of the reasons in his early days when he first went to Paris, why they didn't understand his work is because everything was viewed through the lens of Western fashion. So when you have the likes of Rei Kawakubo and Yohji Yamamoto, Issey Miyake, and earlier times you have people like Kenzo, or you have people like Kansai Yamamoto, people found it really hard to understand because the patterns are not based on patterns that people are used to seeing in the West. That being said, Yohji didn't invent the idea of having, wide trousers or wide pants. Like, people have been doing wide pants since the beginning of time. If like you look at images of ancient Egypt and they have these like wraparound skirts or like really wide fabrics that look like trousers, like it's not like innovative. It doesn't belong to any designer, is my point. But yeah, I do like a wide pant though. I mean, geez, I love me some wide trousers because they're just comfortable to wear. They're really, really comfortable. That's why I love balloon pants. I really, really love them. Okay, so you've got these gold chain interlocking links. Did someone say in the chat, because someone said that they made a video about it. Did someone say where we can find the video? Is it on Loewe's YouTube? Let me check their YouTube channel and see if they have like a process video on how they made it. Because that would be really cool to look at. Let's see. They have a campaign with Jürgen Teller. J.W Anderson loves Jürgen Teller. Too much even. Okay, I don't think I can find it on their YouTube channel. So maybe it's on the Instagram page, but I'll wait for the person to say, oh, Instagram. Someone said Instagram. Okay, cool. Let's see. Loewe Instagram. Because we went on the Instagram page earlier and I don't think I saw it. I must have missed it. Let's have a look, guys. Let's have a look. British designers latch onto Jürgen Teller so much. I think because Jürgen Teller, his photography style, I like it sometimes, and other times I'm not the biggest fan. But what I will say about Jürgen Teller is that Jürgen Teller's style of photography really captures the way that British culture kind of represents itself. And what I mean by that is like there's kind of like a very down to earth norm core understanding of what British culture is. That's why I love Martine Rose campaign so much, because Martine Rose will have like a campaign that looks like someone shot it on an iPhone and it's just these guys eating fish and chips in a pub. It's so, yeah, it's just so normcore in the sense of kind of like that I just find so interesting. So I think that's why Jürgen Teller works for a lot of British designers. I think Jürgen Teller helps to channel that Britishness through their work. Like, especially working class Britain very much gives off that energy. Not so much the posh side of Britain, the aristocrats, you know. Okay, so someone's saying the reels. Oh, okay. That must be why I missed it. So we're gonna go on Instagram after this and see like some of the reels. That'll be cool. Just speeding through these last looks. Very, very interesting fabric usage. Once again, a very heavy focus on the Oxfords. I kind of like this look of the Oxfords, the pointy look of the Oxfords. Once again, he's kind of transforming them slightly. You can see the left side of the lacing bit of the Oxfords kind of comes out slightly more, kind of peaks out slightly more on this side than the other side. That's really cool. I would buy those Oxfords because they look like any other Oxford, but then you have that kind of detail. They're kind of more pointy than usual too. They also look kind of long in the silhouette. That's really cool. Like J.W Anderson is, geez, great designer. True, lots of British designers like to represent their mundane community in an exalted light. Martine, Denzel, Patrick, Idris, Balogun, even. Wow, he's mentioning some good designers. I love Denzel Patrick, by the way, and Idris Balogun as well. Dolce is tapped in. He's tapped into our scene. I can't with pointy shoes for men. Why not? Why can't men wear pointy shoes? What's wrong with that? Why do these shoes look like Clarks? Did they collaborate with Clarks, or is this just like a Loewe shoe? They just remind me of Clarks so much. These are the kind of shoes that Clarks would design, quite literally. Okay, once again, it's kind of like playing with the same idea. Kind of what I like here is kind of like a visual, like optical kind of illusion kind of thing where he's kind of turned the inner lining of the jacket, which is lined with leather or faux leather, it could be one of the two, um, and turned it into a lapel. That's really cool. So if you're not looking at it properly, you might just think that's the lapel of the coat. Like it's kind of like a two-tone lapel until you look at the left side and see that there's nothing there. That's like really cool. Where the hell out of some pointed Chelseas. Yeah, the stacked heel on those shoes that I said look like Clark's is really cool. No, I don't think Dolce was calling Martine's community mundane. I think what Dolce was saying is that Martine Rose likes to reference the mundaneness of Britain. Kind of like just like the everyday, the non-exciting side of Britain, and kind of like pushing that to the forefront, which is also kind of, it aligns with Jürgen Teller's style of photography. So I think that's what Dolce was saying, because like it is quite mundane to just go and eat in a fish and chip shop. That's kind of like everyday life kind of thing that British people do, but no one really focuses on it because it's not glamorous. There's nothing glamorous about going to a fish and chip shop. That's why a lot of luxury brands don't associate with that, because they're trying to, it's kind of like the Ralph Lauren effect. They want to show a more aristocratic side of Britain. So designers, I find designers actually very interesting that focus on everyday life of Britain. Oh yeah, so Dolce exactly saying not like that, more like everyday life. Exactly. That's kind of what I assumed Dolce Jeans meant by that. He says eating fish and chips is mad exciting to me. Yeah, Toasting is saying it ties more into the way more mundane aspects of life lead to interaction with clothes in her interpretation of streetwear. Exactly that. Exactly that. Exactly that. Exactly that. Green has says his style is so visually pleasing with shapes and silhouettes. ISO colors, it's so minimalistic but so different. Yeah. It's minimalistic in a Jill Sander way. Because normally when people say something is minimalistic or minimal, it means plain. But minimalistic is just not too fussy, which is Jill Sander. Because Jill Sander would play heavily with fabrics and silhouettes and even colors. And I think we've had this conversation in like past videos and streams where sometimes that word, I don't even know what it means. Like when someone says, oh, this designer is minimalistic or this is a minimal designer, like even when we think of the 90s, when they say, oh, these designers were responsible for changing the guard of what fashion looked like and the minimalism, and they say Helmut Lang and Jill Sander and Mucha Prada. And I'm like, Mucha Prada was out here color blocking crazy colors and using insane prints, which is why they called it ugly chic. Then you had Helmut Lang out here making astronaut suits. And then you had Jill Sander out here making like fake fur sort of coats and kind of playing with textures of fabrics. And everyone just bunched it into, oh, it's minimal. So I always get confused sometimes when people say like, minimal. It's really confusing. I don't know what people mean when they say that sometimes. I also like what he did here. It's kind of like this sort of kind of like piece. It'd be cool to see how this is constructed because it looks like there's kind of like a lining and then they attach the fur, these kind of like fur fabric bits one by one. That's kind of how it looks like it's constructed, which would take so long to do, which probably means if anyone buys this piece, it'll probably be like 20K, if not more. It looks like that kind of piece. Astronaut suits. It's true though. Helmut Lang was in his astronaut bag. Minimalism is so loosely used in the fashion community. Yeah, I just don't think I don't know what it means because minimalism has been used to describe so many different aesthetics. Thea says, I think the idea of minimalism is that everything should have a place, and instead designers are like a child when their mum tells them to clean up and shoves everything into the closet. Said they called it ugly sheep because people are stupid. That's funny. Yeah, I like the deep V. I do like it. It's kind of like forces you to focus on just where the zip is normally of the trousers. And I like that obviously the trousers are actually raised. So your waistline is actually going to sit here. Even though there's a belt loop and you're probably going to wear the belt up here. That's really cool. I like to see that worn by people. I hope people actually wear those because there's so many styling opportunities with a piece like that. Some more knitted pieces. J.W. Anderson, he loves a knit. This is kind of interesting because once again, kind of the knitwear that kind of is kind of knitted into these trousers. Can't really tell what fabric it is. It looks more like wool though. It doesn't really look very cotton to me, just based on the eye test. But it's interesting using this zigzag pattern and kind of stopping it here, because if you're not looking closely, you might think that it's kind of, that's cool. That's so cool. And you don't really notice it's all one piece until the way, like the pockets here, the model wearing the pockets, because you could quite easily think that this is sitting on top of the trousers, but it's not, it's one piece. Yeah, the neckline is basically the waistline. Facts. Ain't no one looking at the trousers with the deep V. Oh my god. Deep V Loewe shirt with the Sabato short shorts. Men are entering the slut era this summer. I know, right? And the Prada short shorts too. Al says that's why I'm drawn to J.W. Anderson's design aesthetic. I'm a knitwear nerd. Yeah, I mean, I've never made any knitwear in my entire life, so I have a deep appreciation for the craft of it. Here, once again, we have another coat that's playing with kind of this idea of the collar going all the way down to the bottom of the coat, which is really cool. Really, really cool. And then the shoes that I said look like Clark's, but they're actually Loewe's. Cool. So yeah, all in all, really, really cool collection. Which is obviously why I titled like the live stream, um, like why his Loewe is so fun. I think there's just like a fun, playful energy to his Loewe. But I think what we should do now is people are saying that you can find a lot of the reels that show a lot of the process of making the clothes. So we love to look at the way the clothes are made on this channel. So let's have a look. Let's see. Oh, that's really cool. So they did interlock it like a watch. That's cool. How they made that kind of like fur piece is exactly how I thought they would make it, where they have like a baseline lining and they attach all those bits of fabric one by one until it becomes, yeah, exactly what I thought. That's going to cost so much money. Oh my gosh. That's going to be so expensive. It's like not even going to make sense. Curious to hear, what do you think separates the look of Loewe from his own label? So his Loewe is more refined. I think that more and more the ideas are kind of similar. Like his Loewe at first was kind of more clean, and then his Loewe became really playful and surrealist. And once that happened, I think there was more of a correlation between his namesake label and Loewe as a brand. But then what I think differentiates it is Loewe is cleaner, Loewe is a bit more refined, whereas I think J.W. Anderson sometimes looks like an art project, but in a good way. It's kind of like way too whimsical. It's kind of like way less commercial, way less wearable, almost not caring about things being wearable at all. Super more whimsical. So I think that's what separates it. You can tell that Loewe have like parameters that they're trying to hit financially, whereas with J.W. Anderson, like his namesake label, he just goes crazy with the concepts, and it's more conceptual than his work at Loewe. So I'd say that's definitely the biggest difference. Imagine J.W. Anderson doing couture. That would be interesting. I'd love to see that. I've always found in recent the brands run parallel to each other with how they dissect the concepts from season to season. The brands can be wider or closer from each other. Yeah, I agree. Let's see some more stuff. Okay, this was the ad campaign for the show before the show. But yeah, let's leave that on the back because that process video is kind of cool to see how they made that. Wow, I really need to look more closely into his designs. He really is a genius. Yeah, on my channel, I've reviewed quite a few, more so J.W. Anderson collections than Loewe, but you can definitely have a look at some of the old J.W. Anderson collections that I've reviewed because I find them really interesting, honestly. Like the ideas that he explores are always so interesting. His style kind of gives me Hussein Chalayan a bit. That's interesting. I can see that because Hussein Chalayan, some of his work is very much about like elevating everyday items. So like the male dress, right? The mailer dress. We kind of take for granted the mailing envelopes that we use for like postage. And then you have Hussein Chalayan that kind of turns it and elevates it into a dress and kind of makes us think more about that, right? Which is something that J.W. Anderson does a lot with his work. So I can definitely see that. I will check the video. I've completely changed my opinion on him. I like a lot to contradict myself. Pillar, what was your initial thoughts on his work? Like, what was your take on his work before you changed your opinion? Was it that you didn't like it, or you didn't like get it, or it just wasn't for you, or what was it? Thee says, highly recommend looking at the way Sarah Burton garments are constructed. I don't know, the videos are like ASMR to me. Okay, so you didn't understand the fuss and you didn't get it. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, there's still people that don't like it. This is why the world is a beautiful place. We don't always have to agree on everything. There are people that don't like it, which is fine. A lot of people think that his work is too art project adjacent, which I don't agree. I think he takes that art project energy and then refines everything and makes things super refined. But that's like a critique that he gets a lot. The way we roll in the States is quite casual elegance. What I want to do is I want to go on Loewe's website and see how much they're charging for their items. It's a very, very interesting case study. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I hope there's no brass. I really hope there's no brass. Let's look at women's wear because that's always going to be more interesting than the men's wear. Let's see what's new in right now. They don't even have the prices. That's how you know something's expensive. They don't have the price until you open the page. So these pumps are 1.2K. That's crazy for a knitted kind of like it's got like what, rhinestones? That's insane. 1.2K. Ouch. Ouch. Oh yeah, these are like the whimsical, playful things that I'm talking about, where the heel is like a flower, kind of like these are the things he likes to play with a lot. A little rose. Rose as a heel. Very, very surrealist J.W. Anderson at Loewe thing to do. So that I pray for the silver tone brass. You guys just want to turn me into a meme. You just want me to be screaming and shouting, silver tone brass, silver tone brass. If anything, he is taking restraint to not overload it with modern art references and focusing on wearability. Yeah, I agree. That's why I say that he refines his art influences and inspirations. But yeah. Everyone's just like silver toned brass, silver toned brass, silver toned. Draped trousers. I always like these ankle boots that they do because the top is like a belt loop. I love that. I wonder if obviously I can't afford to buy these clothes, but I wonder if like influencers that wear this stuff, if they actually put like they should get like a belt and add a belt to it to kind of just add because it's already kind of like a jean kind of trouser, like the belt loops, the pockets. I hope people that own these actually play around with the styling of it and they don't just wear it as is. I hope that they actually like do fun things with it, you know, put stuff in the pockets that come out. That would be really fun. DSM restocked the Nadine Gossen pieces for you, by the way. I don't know what stock is like now, but better get it before it goes again. Yeah, if I have £20,000 lying around, I'll buy the Nadine Gossen pieces. But till then, I'll stay in my lane. You're giving these girls ideas. I don't mind giving them ideas. I don't mind at all. I don't mind. Let them style it because I can't afford these shoes. So let the girlies that can afford them style them in fun ways and be more interesting. Even kind of like, once again, these like pumps, but then the front of it is kind of like a belt loop. And then you've even got the eyelets, the hardware that is you'd see on denim and different trousers. It's kind of fun, like really, really, really good footwear design at Loewe. Really, really cool stuff that they make all the time. You don't have 20K lying around, brokey. Sign up for my drop shipping course, innit? If you buy my course for $5,000, you can make your money back in 2 weeks, guaranteed. That would be cool, putting their keys on it. That would be really, really cool. Io is secretly a Cartier client, sources are confirming. I mean, I've always wanted a Cartier tank, but I can't afford it. So one day, sooner or later, I will be a Cartier customer, but that's a very long time from now, guys. Don't let him fool you. Him and Mike already bought out the first batch. We're never going to beat the allegations that Micah and I are supposedly nepo babies that have rich aristocratic parents. These times we grew up in a council estate. That's funny. It's dystopian. One day when I really, really make it in life, I'm going to go back to the council estate that Micah and I grew up in and take a picture and have one of those Instagram posts where it's like, I hope by then they wouldn't have knocked down the estate so that we can go back there and be like, oh, this is where we started from. It's been a long journey. Thank you so much, guys. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. You know, every influencer's like, oh my God, I just love you guys to my core of my soul, guys. Like, they grew up in a council estate because their parents were MPs. That's funny. Very interesting, like wearable sort of two-piece cargo trousers for 2.1K. The trousers are 1.1K. The jacket, the bomber jacket is 1K. 2.1K for a two-piece set. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. The Loewe girlies have money. with a capital M. These Loewe girls are rich. All these girls on Instagram are like, my pants are Loewe. Like, geez, your mom must be a millionaire. Did someone say Micah looks like Diane Abbott? Tosin, you are absolutely violating. How can you say Micah looks like Diane? Yeah, Mel, the influencer vocal fry. I just find certain influencer things really cringe. Maybe it's my personality. Like the whole, oh my god, guys, I love you so much, guys. It's so weird. Like, you don't like people watch your content because maybe they like you as a person and they like your personality and they like the merit of the content that you make. But the whole like I love you guys when you haven't even met these people is like strange. Yeah, we made it together, guys. We made it to the top together, guys. It's so weird. I love you guys so much. It's so odd. It's so weird. I just find it makes me cringe. I don't know. But maybe it's just a personality thing. Maybe some people that's just their personality to like say things like that. But it's definitely not part of my personality. I was just looking at this because the collar looked interesting. So I wanted to see it closer. It gives contrived. The guy's giving him money. I would love someone who I don't even meet to give me money. That's so funny. I don't know. Like, you can appreciate something without doing the whole routine of, oh my God, I'm totally in love with you guys. Like, obviously, I heavily appreciate if someone, you know, is subscribed to, I don't know, my Patreon or just subscribe to my channel, like giving me attention, because attention is actually very valuable. Like, time is money. So people that watch my channel, you could have watched something else instead, but instead people watch my channel. So I appreciate it. But you can appreciate something and appreciate your audience without doing the whole like fake sort of kind of like what someone said, contrived sort of, oh my God, I'm so in love with you guys. Like, you guys mean the absolute world to me. And like, if one of them had like was homeless, you wouldn't even help them. It's like, it just seems a bit disingenuous to me. I don't know. It's just strange. It's just slightly a bit fake. Slightly. Kind of interesting because this silhouette of loafer, Loewe loved doing this shape and they did it in obviously this collection in gold. I wonder how that's going to sell. The maximalists are going to love that one, the gold ones. They're really going to love that. It's so British to repress all of one's emotions. It really is, though. I think it's our sense of humor. Like, Brits are so like, we don't give a fuck, we don't care, who cares? It's such a British thing to do that. It's like, I think that's why a lot of countries don't understand the British sense of humor. They think we're like rude or mean, but that's just how we are. It's kind of strange. Leah says, here's money so you can stunt like the Loewe girls. thank, thank you very much, Leo. Like someone said in a different chat, like Leo is becoming my sugar dad on the live stream. You man are donating to an oil baron. Fake in fashion, groundbreaking. I know, right? I love your sense of humor. I adore it. I think my sense of humor is not for everyone. It's dry. My sense of humor is really dry. It's really British. Yeah. British humor is amazing, but you are mean. I mean, meanness is kind of baked into the framework of what the British sense of humor is. Influencers definitely, every million fans of theirs and give the world to them. That's funny. Let's have a look. Oh, sterling silver. Is it brass? Is it brass? Okay, so it's sterling silver with a gold finish. That's a lot better than a lot of 95 sterling silver with a gold finish. That's a lot better than a lot of luxury brands. So they're not, Loewe is not going to have me shouting about brass. Silver toned brass. Are dry, rude, sarcastic, dark, and fucking wicked when done right. We are so sarcastic as well. My ears can't handle another silver tone brass incident. Oh my word, that is so hilarious. No, I love the British sense of humor, but it's just, yeah, like I said, it's not for everyone, but the girls that get it, get it. Who was the person that even said that? The girls that get it, get it. I can't remember who said that. Also, thank you so much for donating to PayPal, Sassy. We appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you on the urban stream. That's a really cool heel that they've done there with the shoes. I just love that the front of the Loewe shoes, that kind of shape. It kind of looks boxy at the toe box. I really love that. Io getting donations like a soft life babe. Oh gosh, that's so funny. Be lucky it's not brass toned wood. By the way, I'm also British. I have double nationality, so I'm also mean. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. We can be mean together. You cannot imagine the shock when somebody in a shop told me, "Here you go, love." Brits say love a lot. Yeah, I think it also depends where. I think northerners, so people from the northern part of England are really nice and really polite and really friendly. I think the mean ones are the people from like the south of England, especially the southeast, like Kent and Surrey and London. Like those are the mean people. They do not care at all. Like they just don't give two Fs at all. They really, really don't care. But like I said, I grew up around that sense of humor. So to me, that's just how it goes. Thank you so much, Adele, by the way, for signing up as a member. I said this in the last stream, but because the reason why I set up channel memberships is because I realized that some people don't want to subscribe to Patreon because it's on a different platform. So it's very much like people just don't want to leave the platform, and I understand that. So, like a few days ago, I set up channel membership. So I'm still in the process of duplicating all my Patreon content onto YouTube for the channel members. So you have access to the same content. So it's going to take time, but I'm going to be doing that over the course of the next few weeks. Because there are a lot of videos on my Patreon at the moment. So bear with me, but thank you very much for joining. Johanna says British humor is for smart people. Yeah, Maya says I subscribe to Patreon, but I do find that platform irritating. See, this is why I set up the memberships, because I started to realize. But yeah, let's have a look. Let's still go through. Oh my god, is that how expensive a puzzle bag is? A small puzzle bag is 2.8 thousand pounds. Oh my god, I didn't even know some of these bags are really this expensive. Obviously, it's not the price of like Chanel flat bags, but this is the small bag. So what does like the large or the medium bag cost? So the puzzle bag girlies are rich. So a large puzzle bag is 3K. Oh my, so the luxury girlies are actually rich, rich. I had no idea. A lot of these bags are just not in my tax bracket, so I don't even like think about the prices of these things. But geez, these girlies have money. A small squeeze bag is 3K. It's good that it's in lambskin, and considering it's Loewe, it's probably constructed really well, probably has really nice lining, but damn, luxury prices these days, they scare me. Yeah, how is the large only £100 more? I know, right? Normally, the large is normally significantly more expensive, but they just can't. It's like it's all merchandising and branding. You can't price them at the same thing because obviously then people will just like buy the large every time. So you have to make it slightly more expensive. What sunglasses do you like? Is it the ones on the screen now? You don't think about prices because you're rolling in cash. That's funny. Human use says it has one more puzzle piece. That's why it's more expensive. Square half moon sunglasses. Loewe sunglasses have been really successful too, by the way. There were those white sunglasses that everyone was wearing at one point. I'm not sure if people know what I'm talking about, but those did really well commercially. Those like white sunglasses, they're really, really cool. Like people were obsessed with those. So I know that sunglasses is a very profitable category for Loewe. See, Loewe, they know the deal. Earrings in sterling silver and crystals. They know the deal. Shout out to Loewe for actually using good materials. They're not cutting corners like other luxury brands. Even though the markup is still like insane, but still shout out to Loewe. Pleated shirt in denim for 825. Pretty cool. I've seen many designers do this, but it's cool. And I like how it's kind of the back looks brushed and the wash is kind of like changes as you go down the piece. That's really cool. Duke wants the large puzzle bag. You've got to be rich like the Loewe girlies. 3K for the puzzle bag. I don't think I've seen a denim shirt with this much attention to detail in a bit. Yeah, that's also why after I look at these shows recently, I've been going on, the website to kind of see what they have in stock and just to see the product images because you can see the clothing from different angles, which sometimes you miss on the runway. Because on the runway, they only show the front perspective, which is very limited. Sometimes you want to see it side on, sometimes you want to see a sleeve detail that they've missed. So it's always good to see kind of like the previous seasons and what they're selling on the website, and also what materials they're using, what the price is like, because it's very indicative of where the fashion industry is trending. It's like hyper luxury, like Io. a rich Loewe girly like Io. Honestly, buying expensive, good quality bags is much better than buying bad quality bags. Girlies mostly choose one bag and use them forever. And they become inseparable. Yeah, I think it's very good to invest in a bag if you can afford it, because we promote responsible purchases on this channel. Don't go into credit card debt, I beg you. Buying any luxury good, it's not a need, it's a want. So that being said, if you can afford it, definitely, yeah, an investment bag. And even if you get tired of it, you can sell it and still get most of your own money back. You could probably sell and most luxury brand bags for more than you bought it because the prices rise so quickly. So if you buy a large Loewe puzzle bag for 3K, by the time you want to sell it, the large Loewe puzzle bags might retail for 5K. So if you sell it for 3.5 or 4K, how your customer is seeing it is, well, I'm getting a discount. So you can make a profit too. So yeah, it's great. Please, can we compare to men's? Okay, let's have a look at some of the menswear and see what they're doing on the menswear front. A lot of scrolling. Leo Leo fucking jumped in, all guns blazing. Yeah, obviously it depends on the brand and the bag, of course. But like, for example, if you buy a Chanel flat bag, you're probably going to be able to sell it for more. With how the prices are rising, you definitely will be able to sell your flat bag for more than you bought it in 5 years' time, for sure. Um, so it definitely does depend on the brand and the bag. If you're buying like a, I don't know, a Coperni swipe bag, then no, you're not going to make a profit on that. You're not going to get most of your money back in that sense. But certain bags and certain brands, yes. Are they putting us in debt with education we can't even use? Might as well spend it on the looks. The only luxury bag I would love to get when I become a successful career woman, I really want to get that Loewe elephant bag. Oh, that's really cool. I think why I'm obviously joking when I'm saying that these Loewe girlies, they have loads of money, is because I follow fashion YouTubers that are like bag YouTubers, and they have bag collections of like 40 plus bags. And it's just dawning on me that, like, okay, so they've got two Loewe puzzle bags for 3K each. Then they have like a Chanel flat bag. Then they have like, I'm like, their bag collections are damn near 200K. That's like a house in many parts of the world. That's like a massive house. That's insane. Ceci says, I wish I bought a Chanel bag when I was 5 years old. You would have made so much money. You would have made such a crazy profit. Okay, we've got our suede puzzle bag for the men. Drink your milk. What's what's J.W. Anderson trying to tell us with the drink your milk t-shirt? With even kind of like this milk spilling part of the t-shirt. Like what what is this a commentary on, guys? What is J.W. Anderson trying to tell us about with drink your milk? Just some of the looks are definitely not BET approved. I like these shoes, by the way. I just like the shape of the toe box of a lot of the Loewe footwear. Denim jacket. That's really cool. Optical illusion sweater in a shirt in a sweater, but it's actually just all one piece, which is an idea he plays with every season. He obviously did some of that in this collection too. That's pretty cool. It's the gay part of the brand and pro-lactose propaganda. I guess that was what going back to Peter Hujar, you said that there's a gayness to Loewe. I guess that's what you're talking about. Drink your milk for the gays. If you know, you know. That's funny. I do buy secondhand slash thrift. I 100% buy secondhand. There's a lot of things I buy secondhand. I would actually show you because I'm actually in my bedroom. I'm streaming from my bed. I'm literally sat on my bed. So my wardrobe is right in front of me. Like there's an Andre Lemista waistcoat from the 90s, I think, that I bought secondhand in Belgium. So I definitely buy loads of things secondhand. That's the only way, unless you're like a millionaire. That's the only way to buy into like luxury brands in any sort of like normal way. Like go on the real on the. I envy Americans so much because Americans Americans have the real, and the prices on the real are insane. Like you can find a Yoji dress for like $60, or like the stuff on the real is insane. It's like it's actually insane. People are saying, if you guys want to see the Andre Mista waistcoat, I'll see if I can find it. I'll get it for you guys. This is also a good point, though. The real is also questionably real. You should do a live stream talking about your wardrobe. Oh, that would be cool. If you guys want to see that, obviously you guys decide what content is made. So we have the real, but we have to pay like loads of taxes and stuff. So it becomes way more expensive. So if you see like a Yoji pair of pants for $100, by the time you pay import duties and tax and blah blah blah, it could very easily cost $300 or like $350. So it beats the point of finding like a steal. It almost like takes away the steal and like the good price. IO wardrobe tour. Okay, people are talking about the thrift market. Yeah, I think for me the best place to thrift is Belgium for me personally, because Belgium just has the best thrift stores, the best secondhand consignments, and you can find like sensational stuff for a steal. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just give me a second. Let me remove my. You guys can let me put on a video for you to watch. What do you guys want to watch while I find some pieces that I got in Belgium recently? Well, not recently, but last time I was in Belgium. Antwerp mainly. Antwerp is where you find all the steals. Antwerp. I already talking about going to Belgium casually. His money never runs dry. The thing about living in London is that going to Antwerp is not that expensive. It's a train away. It's a train away, literally. You take the train to Brussels and you change at Brussels and you go to Antwerp. I definitely know where Martin Margiela is. Yeah, if you live close to Antwerp, definitely go shopping in Antwerp. Like the secondhand stuff is insane. Play Sexy Red in the background. I would, but unfortunately, my live stream would get copyrighted and it gets shut down. Um, trains in the UK cost an arm. You are filthy rich. Did you know what's weird? So recently, Uber, you can book. I'll give you guys a quick expert tip. So Uber, the Uber app recently, they've started this thing where you can book a Eurostar train through Uber, and I guess in kind of like a bid to make their like booking trains through Uber a big thing, they started offering like insane discounts. So I was getting trains, Eurostar trains to Paris for like 20 euros, going to Paris because of the Uber thing. Um, so yeah, depending, you just have to know where to get the tickets and you can find like steals. Have you published a list of your favorite stores in Belgium anywhere? Yes, I certainly have. I've actually done a vlog of my favorite stores, like places to shop in Belgium. I did like a whole video on that. I need to turn into a kick streamer so you can get that music in the background. Da-dum-da-dum, da-dum. Some nice little stuff. We are brainwashed in America that we pay dollars for a flight when trains are cheaper. I don't think so. Do you know something funny? In Europe, planes are actually cheaper than trains. So if I take a train to like a Eurostar, because I have the Uber hack, I can maybe get a Eurostar for like 30 euros. But who knows how long that will last. But normally a Eurostar from London to Paris it can get really expensive. Sometimes it can be 100 euros. But if I was to book a flight from London to Paris, it could be so cheap. It could literally be 15 pounds. It could be something really insanely cheap. But it's just the stress of going to an airport and the airport security and the fact that your luggage is 20 kilograms limit and all these things. Whereas, like, you don't have to think about that on the train. You can have the heaviest suitcase, no one cares. You take it on the train. So trains are more convenient. You don't go through like airport security and stuff. Train immigration is so like it's so much easier. So even though trains are technically a train around Europe is more expensive than a plane around Europe, but it's more convenient. So that's why people take a train. Oh, people are saying trains are pricey in the US. How pricey are we talking? How pricey are we talking in the US when you say trains are pricey? Because the only trains I can think of are like the trains in New York, and the subway in New York is cheaper than London. So I always think of it as having like really good pricing. There's security in train station in Madrid, not like airports, but so there's security in the Eurostar too, because technically the UK is not part of the EU. So before the security wasn't as tight, but now because like there's an actual like border, like there's no longer like free movement. So when you go to the Eurostar station in King's Cross in London, there's like security, you go through a security part, and then there's an immigration like passport check bit, and that's it. But it's not as fussy as like an airport. It's not as like the airport is just stressful, like going through all those different bits. Oh, the Amtrak. Ah, okay. What's the average cost? Someone says the subway in New York City is fabulous. Bay Area subway is much more expensive. Yeah, facts. I just think of New York subway as being really affordable. Like London, the London Underground is so expensive, it doesn't make sense. It's going to get to the point where no one's going to take the Underground because the price every year goes up by a certain percentage. And it's just going to get to the point where no one can afford it. I remember when I went to Washington, D.C., the subway was super expensive. So maybe it's just New York that has the affordable subway. That's interesting, though. You know what? Since you guys want to see the Anzuelamista waistcoat, um, so I'll get the waistcoat and I'll get the other piece that I bought last time I was in Antwerp. And what I'll do is, in the background, I will play my video for people that haven't seen it. Some of you would have seen it, but my video of me exploring the best fashion spots in Antwerp until I come back. So you guys can enjoy that video in the meantime while I go and sift through my wardrobe to show you guys a few things. So let me see if I can put that on the screen quickly. Let's see. Oh, new day, different things. So today I'm going back to the museum because the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Antwerp is part of it is actually on the top floor of the MoMU Museum. So that's why I'm interviewing Walter van Beirendonck today. And I also want to go to the Copyright Bookstore, which is a really good bookstore in the museum. And they have loads of books. Like I want to buy a book on Walter van Beirendonck's work. There's books about Margiela, like all the Belgian designers, the books are there. Also other international books. But a lot of the like Belgian books, when I go to stores in the UK, you don't really find those books because in the UK, there aren't really many fashion specific libraries. They're just like bookstores that have fashion sections, but they're not like fantastic. And then most of these books, if you want to buy them like online, the prices just don't even make sense. So that would be really fun, going to the bookstore. And then I'm going to do like some other stuff, which you guys will see in the vlog. Today's fit, Undermillermeister sweater, Undermillermeister trousers, and Boris Bajan, Saberi Bambas. Yeah. So it was two guys who made this brand.
Yeah, I think it's over 10 years old, and it's been worn by Ricky Martin. They've done shoots with Patti Smith, so they've done a lot of cool stuff, but for some reason they haven't really captured, like, I wouldn't say like imagination.
Yeah. Is that just because it's not really streetwear? It's menswear, but with a street aesthetic. It's almost like in a category of its own that people still don't understand.
They call it contemporary elegance, which is it's very difficult to. Okay, there are a lot of brands that don't understand what you look at pieces, there's storytelling to it, and it's like,
okay, guys, so bad news. I just remembered that my Undermillermeister waistcoat is in my loft because I don't have enough closet space. So I normally switch out my summer wardrobe for my winter wardrobe in my closet, and I put the other stuff in my loft. So, I don't have it as it yet. But something else I thrifted, by the way, just to show you guys like stuff that you can find. So this is like an Issey Miyake men tie that I got when I was in Antwerp. And I got this, drum roll please, for 25 euros. Like, you guys can't see it, but it has like an insane texture. Of course, Issey Miyake is all about the fabrics. It's like such a cool texture. So quite literally, you can find like insane secondhand stuff in Belgium. It's super insane. Adele said, in my other house. Second residence. Sorry guys, my Undermillermeister waistcoat is in it's my Undermillermeister waistcoat is in my third property in the Isles of France. That's funny. Someone's asking me if that video is on my Patreon. No, that video is available for everyone to watch on my YouTube channel. And actually, I think I talk about the waistcoat. I think I even bought some of this stuff in that video. So I'll post the link in the chat if you guys want to watch it at another time. You already knew he was rich. Stop acting brand new. The other house. Yeah, a loft is like an attic. So like my loft is right above my bedroom. So it's kind of like you kind of like pull it down and then a ladder emerges and then you climb into it. And it's just like your roof. It's kind of like a space where the roof is. Back in my castle. This is Micah behavior. That's funny. No, I didn't go to Dries Van Noten's garden. I wasn't invited, unfortunately. Sharing your thrifted finds to fake like you're a fellow brokey. We see through you. That's funny. That is so funny. That's hilarious. In my summer cottage. You guys are killing me. Back in my summer cottage, guys. Yeah, I'm going to Mysteries. I would love to visit his garden, but it's like private property. You have to be like his friend to go into his garden. So I don't know Dries Van Noten personally, so I don't see how that could happen, but I'd love to though. I'd love to. Someone said I'm wearing a hat that Nina said I'm wearing a hat that looks used to to associate with, the hoi polloi of society. To associate myself with the hoi polloi of society, I've decided to wear a distressed cap to show that I am indeed one of you. Ask your pal Walter for the +1. Walter is not my pal. I've met Walter a few times and I've interviewed him, and obviously he knows of me, but I'm not out here messaging Walter like, how's the new collection coming along, guys? Poor cosplay hat. That reminds me of like, you know, politicians when they want to act like they're relatable to the everyday person, and then they do something really silly, like they go into like KFC and then they take a selfie, like, look at me, guys, I'm in KFC, and it's like no one takes a selfie of themselves in KFC. Like that is so disingenuous. Yeah, like do you remember when Rishi Sunak went to McDonald's and he was like, I'm in McDonald's, guys. I love taking my daughter to McDonald's. She loves a McDonald's. And then the video came out of him trying to like buy a McDonald's because he didn't know how to use the self-checkout kiosks because he's obviously never been there before. Yeah, they go to a baseball game and eat a hot dog. just enjoying the LA Dodgers right now. Oh my god, I love politicians. They're so comical. They're so funny. Every year, election day in the USA, they go and link up with rappers to get the black vote. Or they go to the hood. That's funny. The same way Micah doesn't know how to upload, we see through it. Buy a McDonald's. A singular McDonald's is crazy. Yeah, I know, right? We're just on our way to buy a McDonald's. My daughter is a great supporter and patron of McDonald's, and I just thought it was great to show you guys a day in the life of my life, where we go to McDonald's and we go to the suburbs of London and we explore. Acronym, yeah. I like. Wait, is Acronym based in Germany? Really? I didn't know that. Why did I think Acronym was based somewhere else? Isn't it run by Errolson Hugh? Is he Germany based? To be fair, I didn't know he was Germany based. To be fair, he probably is. He probably is. He did a lot of the like Nike ACG stuff. Like he's done some stuff with Nike ACG and all that sort of stuff. Yes, the review is over. Unfortunately, Wild and Lethal Treasure. You're gonna have to watch it back. Enjoy it, watching it back. Not the Attenborough documentary narration of Macca's. So, right here in this land is where the working class of the British society go to eat food. It's called McDonald's. Here, potatoes are fried effortlessly while they are mixed with an assortment of bread buns with patties in the middle. This is very much indicative of the working class in British society. Over here, we see. Okay, Wild and Lethal Treasure says we'll be watching it at a later date. Enjoy. Someone was saying that I've mastered the art of stop motion. I honestly don't know why when I put videos, because this didn't used to happen before. When I put videos on my screen, it's really jittery. I really need to get to the bottom of that. I don't know why that happens, to be fair. Can we look at some acronym pants I want? Some I can't afford. Yeah, I didn't actually know that acronym was based in Germany. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. Oh, the lab store stocks acronym. That's cool. That's cool. Only essential cookies. No, do not notify me about products trying to get me into credit card debt. No, don't notify me. Acronym is spenny. Really, really spenny. Pants, nylon stretch pants for £665. Oof. Slightly expensive. Someone said they'd love to see my scent collection. Okay, to be fair, I have that in front of me. Should I end this stream and then do another stream of like my fragrances just so I can break it up, or do you just want me to do it now? But yeah, it would take me a while to like bring all my scents from my wardrobe to my bed. You guys would have to watch jittery videos in the background. Everyone's like, now we want to see it now. now. You know what? I'll do is I'll bring some of the fragrances, because bringing all of it could take a while. You have to go to the guest house. It's like, sorry guys, I just have to quickly drive my Range Rover to the guest house to pick up a couple of fragrances, and by that I mean 2000, to showcase to you guys on the stream. You need to do it in the fragrance panty dropping reviewer styles. This fragrance, guys, panty dropper. Absolute panty dropper. We only want the panty droppers. Do you know what? I'll leave you guys with a panty dropper video while I go and get my fragrances. This fragrance, guys, panty dropper. This fragrance, guys, if you wear this fragrance, woman will jump on you in the middle of the street. Woman, I wore this fragrance and women were just biting my neck. Like, they wouldn't leave me alone. Like, fragrance reviewers are hilarious. They're so funny. They are so funny. And most of them promote fragrances that they don't even like. They get sent fragrances and they're not very transparent. So they'll get sent a fragrance, be like, this fragrance is 10 out of 10, top panty dropper, and they don't even know how it smells. Like, there's a fragrance YouTuber that I follow, this really cool woman, I've forgotten her name. She's from the UK. I think she's like a doctor, so she kind of does YouTube as a hobby, but she exposed like all these fragrance YouTubers that they don't even have their own talking points. Like, they copy talking points from other fragrance YouTubers. So they're scent fragrances and they barely even smell it, and they're just like, oh yeah, notes of labdanum and citrus. Oh my god, no, fragrance YouTubers are too funny. Too funny. Panty droppers. I'll leave you guys with a Melissa National video, because she loves to talk about a panty dropper. She loves a panty dropper. Let's see. Melissa National, Pound Town Galore approved. Pound Town Galore. Let's see Melissa National talk about Creed Aventus. Let's see what she has to say. Let's see.
Talked about the male gaze versus the female gaze in terms of fragrances. And if you didn't watch that video, it was pretty much what men think women find attractive versus what women actually find attractive, and vice versa. What women think men find attractive versus what they actually find attractive, with perfumes, colognes, fragrances, all of that. And one fragrance that kept repeatedly getting brought up was Creed Aventus. And the funny thing about it was everybody was on the same page with their opinion about Aventus, guys and girls. And that conclusion was that Creed Aventus is more of a boxer dropper than a panty dropper. Now, I know somebody like hearing that is like, well, no, women love it on me. They love it. We get it. It's okay. Relax. We're not saying that women don't love Aventus and only guys love Aventus. I'm saying that the love that women have for Aventus is disproportionately smaller than the love that men have for Aventus, which is astronomical. For example, with my experience testing the fragrance, I like Aventus. I don't love it, but I like it, right? When I was wearing it, girls liked it. They were like, "Oh yeah, like this is a nice scent. This smells good. This smells good." But then when guys smelled it, they were going nuts. They were going stupid over this fragrance. It was like an aggressive type of love, where they were like, "Oh, that shit smells good. Melissa, what are you wearing? That smells so fucking good." They wanted to know what it was, and it was just like, I got the wide eyes of like, "Oh, that is a masterpiece." In their eyes, that's what I saw, and that was also what was said. So, like, as you could tell, both loved Aventus, but one clearly loved it more than the other. So the question that follows or the question that I received was, this guy asked, okay, if Aventus is the male gaze of Creed, what is the female gaze? What is the scent in Creed's offering that has women fawning over it? And the answer is right behind me. It's the only Creed bottle I have in my collection, Silver Mountain Water. So this fragrance, every woman, every girl that has smelled this in my collection has done pretty much this same reaction where they do this. They'll be like, "What's that white bottle up there?" I'll bring it down, hand it to them. Without saying anything, I'm like, "Smell this," right? So they'll pop this open, and then they'll kind of tilt like this and then cross their arms and smell it like this. And then their eyes would go wide, and then they kind of readjust their stance, step a little bit closer to me, put both hands on the bottle, and smell it again. And just be like, and it's just quiet. They're like, "Oh my God." And then they'll spray it in the air, close their eyes, waft it in the air, and just melt with this scent. That is not a onesie, twosie type of reaction I've seen. That was that was every girl that I have had smell Silver Mountain Water in my collection, where it's like, it's a dreamy type of reaction where it's like, "Oh my God, that smells so good," So whereas the men had this aggressive sort of love for Aventus, the women had this dreamlike love, and just like that dreamlike kind of like that with Silver Mountain Water. It was so, like, the differences were amazing, but I mean, still a lot of love, right? Whereas when guys smell this in my collection, they do this. They'd smell it. "Yeah, it's nice. I get it, right? But it was not nearly how much, like, did not come close to the reaction that women gave with Silver Mountain Water. Yeah, oh, this is nice. This is really nice. I do take Silver Mountain Water over Aventus, and I think a conversation that not a lot of people are ready to hear, and this comes more, is that, of course, you can wear whatever you want, right? But from what I see sometimes, like when I'm talking about unisex fragrances, there's guys that are like, "No one should wear a unisex fragrance because, like, I want to just smell like a man. I'm a man. I don't want to smell like something a woman would wear. I'm a guy. I'm a man." And you know what I mean? This big bravado. And if you want to wear masculine fragrances, go for it. All up to you, right? But I will say, from a feminine nose standpoint, let's take a fragrance like Red Tobacco. That is from Menswear, that is extremely masculine. When I smelled that fragrance, I was turned off immediately. I didn't even wash it off my arm because I wanted to see how the dry down would be. I even sprayed it on the air. I sprayed it on clothes because who knows? It could have been my skin chemistry, but it wasn't just my skin chemistry. I rebuked that fragrance, right? I don't like it. And it's a scent that other girls smelled it.
Oh, I find Melissa so funny. He's like, "Guys, like, when I spray Creed Silver Mountain Water, every woman had the same reaction. Like, it just come into my personal space, and they're just like." My skin chemistry is just like, it really works with Creed Silver Mountain Water, guys. So if you click my code in the description below, then you can get 10% off Creed. Use the code Melissa National. This has been going on for too long. Are you sure this isn't IO trying to sell perfume? You know, my skin chemistry just works with these things, guys. It's just like my skin chemistry, guys. I thought what I'll show you guys is like my Dior Privé collection, because like I said, I can't go through too many fragrances. We'll literally be here forever. And I want it to have, I always, when I do these streams, I think of playback value. So I think of when people watch it back, will it just be too long? So you're turning her into an industry plant. So this is the most I will ever promote LVMH products ever in my life. Leah said, I heard Dior and nearly got concerned. What, do you think I was going to show you Dior Sauvage? That's not really much of a show and tell of fragrances when everyone knows what that smells like. I used to own, funny enough, Silver Mountain Water. I used to own Creed Aventus. I used to own Silver Mountain Water. I used to own like the Portugal one, but I gave some of them to my dad because, like I said, I was a bit of a fragrance addict, and I've grown out of it now. And I had too many fragrances, so I gave them to like my dad and my cousins and stuff. So yeah, Fragrance Roadman. I know, right? This is the Fragrance Roadman segment of the stream. So what do you guys want to see first? I said we can talk about this fragrance. Can you guys see it? This is Gris Dior. This is actually the best-selling Dior Privé fragrance, apparently. That's what the like sales assistants say. It's kind of like, I hate how sales assistants describe fragrances because I don't think that way. Like I remember when I went to buy this, they were like, you know, this fragrance, yes, it says unisex on the bottle, but you know, this fragrance is more feminine. It smells more like floral, has more floral notes, and it's really fresh. And I was just thinking, did I ask you if it's feminine or masculine? Like, I want the fragrance because I like the smell. I don't care about gender and smell. And she's like, and it's literally marketed as unisex. So actually, that sales assistant was doing a terrible job. Because if something is marketed as unisex, the last thing you should be doing is, that's a bit too feminine for you. That's too feminine for you. So yeah, this is a really nice classic. What we can do is we can definitely urban profiling. That's funny. It's like, for you, it's too feminine. Maybe you should try some of our more masculine smells in our unisex fragrance line. So yeah, I found that really weird. I found that really, really weird. When she did that, it was really strange. Let me do the fragrance YouTuber thing where everyone tries to pretend that they know more about fragrances than they do. Let me do the fragrance YouTuber thing. So, Gris Dior is a fragrance that has main accords of woody, earthy, mossy, rose, and patchouli, with a touch of citrus, warm, spicy, amber, powdery, and floral notes. So it's very interesting. It's very much it can be described as a high quality and luxurious scent. It's very sophisticated and elegant. I really like how there's a blend of rose, moss, and patchouli. You know, it's just such a very interesting thing, right? I definitely think that this fragrance is suitable to both men and women, and I would say that this is a very classy and original fragrance. I think some of the pros, those are the pros, but I think some issues that I personally have with the fragrance is that, you know, sometimes it might be too dry or it might be too earthy. You know, it is a bit overhyped. You know, this is Dior's most sold fragrance. So it's very much, you know, one of those things where you really have to know. But if we talk about the fragrance notes, you know, let me do, this is what fragrance YouTubers do when they pretend, when they literally read the notes off of Fragrantica. They're like, so what I'm getting is there's a touch of rose there. I can definitely smell the rose. There's in there there's a bit of oak moss. I'm definitely getting like touches of oak moss. I get bergamot. Okay, I can really get that sandalwood going around in the background. And okay, there's a bit of amber also that I'm smelling. Oh wow. Okay, so that's very interesting. That's what they do. That's what fragrance YouTubers do, because they all say the same thing. Point of view, reading the cue cards before going up to do a speech in high school. And then they'll be like, then they'll read for all the points of Fragrantica. They'll look at this bit, because in Fragrantica you can see like the longevity. Obviously here it says it's moderate to long lasting, like Grise Dior. Then they'll be like, so with this fragrance, I would say that it's kind of long lasting. It's not like eternal performance, but I would say the performance, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. You know, the ciliage, I'd give it like moderate ciliage. You know, it's moderately spreading. It's spread moderately, but I don't think it's anything, you know, super crazy. I would say that this fragrance is definitely more female leaning. As you can see on Fragrantica, they clearly state that it's more female leaning and unisex. You can see the male side only has 45 points. They wouldn't actually tell you the points. They'll just be like, you know, it's very very feminine leaning. I would say this is definitely more for women. The only thing they smell is cap. People be saying sandalwood, but live in the deepest parts of the city and never even smelt a tree. And then sometimes some fragrance YouTubers are so horrible that they read. So obviously you have like people that review on Fragrantica and they say, you know, like, oh, this is not as feminine as people make it out to be. It's extremely popular in the Middle East for both genders. And they literally copy those like people's comments verbatim. Like if you just read the comments, they'll be like, you know, what I will say is like a deeper analysis is that I would say that Grise Dior is incredibly clean and sheer, almost silk-like. It almost leaves this, you know, like beautiful ciliage in the air. If I had a magic garden, this is exactly what I would want to smell like. You know, floral and woody after fresh rain. What I would say about the patchouli note is that it's really well executed here. You know, it's, think damp, but fresh out of water damp. I'll definitely say that this is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. And, you know, it almost smells like a rain cloud over a rose garden. How many panties dropped post-application? If you guys are interested in one of the best ways to genuinely learn about fragrances and how to evaluate them, start buying small 2 to 3 ml samples of raw materials from an oil company and study them. Yeah, how I learned about fragrances was like in terms of like different smells is there are places in London where they make perfumes where I guess if they like the look of you, you can kind of just walk in, and if they're having a good day, they can show you like loads of ouds and loads of, that was how I smelt, you know, things like ambergris for the first time. It smells like whale piss and like all these different things. And it's interesting because most raw materials smell horrid. Like on their own, most raw materials smell terrible. Even things like jasmine. Jasmine smells like earthy soil. with a touch of that smell that people associate with jasmine. But then when people think of jasmine, they think of the smell of like Chanel No. 5, which is very far removed from the actual smell of jasmine as a raw material. So yeah, but it definitely is the case. I think most fragrance YouTubers don't have a clue about how raw materials smell, which is so what I'm smelling right now is oak moss, and I'm getting also a touch of rose. Do you guys smell the rose? Do you guys get the rose? But anyway, that's that's my review on Gris Dior, guys. So the next fragrance in the Dior line, this fragrance, this is called Vanilla Diorama. Not sure you guys can see it. Vanilla Diorama. I actually really love this fragrance. It smells like my best way to describe it, it smells like an old man, like a sweet fragrance, like a honey-based fragrance, like a vanilla-based fragrance for an old man. I channel my old man when I wear this fragrance. But so many people online, like on YouTube, like fragrance reviewers, hate this fragrance. Like they swear it smells terrible. I think it's a very classic take on vanilla. I really, really love it. But a lot of fragrance YouTubers will tell you that, oh, this smells like old lady. Why would you want to smell like old lady? It's like, okay, whatever you say. I love it. I don't agree with any of you guys, but I love it. It's like a really classic take on vanilla. So if you like vanilla, it's really good. Also, I will say that this is really long lasting. It's like really intense. Super intense actually. Like it lasts all day on me. So yeah. Uni says African uncle fragrances. That's funny. Let's go back on Fragrantica. Let's see. Vanilla Diorama. Vanilla Diorama. LVMH is making so much. Where's my check, LVMH, for promoting your fragrances? Bernard Arnault needs to run me a check. That's what they say the notes are. So top notes: orange, pink pepper, lemon. Middle notes: rum, cacao, cardamom. Base notes: bourbon, vanilla, sandalwood, patchouli. To be honest, when I smell it, I don't get any pink pepper because I don't get any spiciness from it. I don't really get the lemon or the orange either. The rum, I definitely get rum. I get rum, vanilla, sandalwood. That's like mainly what I smell personally. Like rum, vanilla, and sandalwood. Those are like the main things I smell in that fragrance. Rachel says don't listen to them. Yeah, exactly. I watch fragrance reviewers more for entertainment. The thing about fragrances is they are so individual, which is why I don't understand why people watch a fragrance review and then they're like, I'm going to buy that immediately without smelling it. Because I think we all like different things. So a fragrance reviewer is not going to say, oh, this smells like old lady, and that's going to put me off buying it. Because if I like the smell personally, I like the smell. It doesn't matter. So yeah, fragrances are personal. So yeah, I definitely don't listen to any of those fragrance YouTubers like, oh my God, you smell like an old man. Oh, Rachel says it's sweet, but not sickly sweet. Yeah, I agree with you. Because some of what I love about the Dior Privé line is that first of all, it smells very clean. Everything smells really natural. Like it smells like they use a lot of natural ingredients in it, which I love. Because sometimes a lot of designer fragrances, they put like all these things like ISO super and like all these things that just make it like a bomb, and you can't even smell anything. It's just like smashes into your nose and then you go nose blind to the smell. So that's what I really like. Chanel smells like old lady. That's funny. I watch fragrance reviews when they compare it with other fragrances I might have. Yeah, that's a good way to use it, right? Where they're like, oh, this kind of smells like this other fragrance. That's like a cool way to do it. Okay, what's the next Dior Privé? I recently gave my sister one of my Dior Privés. So I have one less, but I gave it to her as a gift. But this next one is let me take off this thing off the screen so you can see it closer. This is Oud Ispahan. This is a very fresh take on Oud. Now, I remember in a previous live stream, someone asked me what fragrances I like, and I said like I like fresh smelling fragrances, and so I can actually wear because Oud is a bit too much for me. It's a bit too strong. It's a bit too powerful. It's a bit much, but this is like a very fresh take on Oud, which is what I love about it. So I'm a big fan of Oud Ispahan. If I want to wear Oud, this is as far as I would take it. So yeah, Oud Ispahan, huge fan. Absolutely love this fragrance. So yeah, it just smells like a fresh oud. That's the best way for me to describe it without doing the notes of like the whole. Let's see what they say on Fragrantica. But it's just a fresh take on an oud that smells like really clean. That's all. Yeah, rose, patchouli, saffron, oud, sandalwood, cedar. Yeah, I definitely get like the rose and the patchouli, and then obviously just oud. Oh, Zed says, I love Oud Ispahan. Yes, I love it. It's so good. I is a frag commie. I only have one sibling, by the way. I have one sister. She's actually been on my channel in like earlier videos. Like I did a video with my sister one time that was about like Black Friday and why it's like so unsustainable and promotes like overconsumption. So if you guys can find that video, that's my one and only sister. I love fresh woody and aldehydic fragrances. Same, I'm with you on that one. But everything, I'm just a fan of like fresh fragrances. That's my thing. That's my thing. That's my thing. Got fragrance Winfrey. That's so funny. That's funny. Anyway, continuing the fragrance review. Oh, that's a nice fragrance. I love that fragrance so much. So this is Dior Privé. This is Eden Rock. So Eden Rock is more like a floral, citrusy, fresh. This is very much like hot summer day on the beach vibes. This is very much like salty, kind of like salty, citrusy, floral type of fragrance. But once again, this is my bag. Like I love more clean, kind of like floral, citrusy, light fragrances. That's my bag. So yeah, I really love Eden Rock. That's my thing. What I just said about designer colognes, and that's exactly how I feel. What was it that I said? Was it that some designer fragrances they put too much like ISO super, like Ambroxan, just Ambroxan bombs, like you can't even smell yourself. Phil says you're not convincing me. Vanilla, citric, I don't like that in perfumes. That's fair. It's a good thing I'm not trying to sell these perfumes to you. I'm just I'm just sharing my collection. If I was a fragrance YouTuber that was trying to get you to use my code, then yeah, I'd be failing at my job right now. I spends all his money on fragrances, rent on multiple apartments, and expensive wine for the fatties. I kind of have one expensive hobby at a time. So at one point it was fragrances. That's why like I had a big fragrance collection. Then it was most recently it was the wine thing, which is why Micah was making fun of me for like importing wines from Spain and stuff. So let's see what Fragrantica has to say about Eden Rock, my beloved salty, floral, citrusy, fresh fragrance. Let's see what they have to say about Eden Rock. Okay, so they even say it's like salty, citrus, white, floral. What do they say the notes are? Sea salt, citrus, jasmine, pine tree, labdanum. I want to read the description because I remember them saying that it's okay. So they said it's a vibrant ode to the most emblematic of luxury hotels along the French Riviera, the Hotel de Cap Eden Rock. So it's actually inspired by the hotel. So interesting random ass inspiration. It's all the expensive hobbies I see. That's funny. How many colognes in my current rotation? If you say my rotation itself, like what I'm currently using, I'd say maybe about 4 fragrances. But in my collection right now, I would say maybe about 35 fragrances in my collection right now. But yeah, I'd say my rotation is 4 fragrances, especially because of like the temperature and it's a bit more sunny. So there's fragrances in my collection that I think are more suitable to like sunny, hot, sweaty weather. There's certain fragrances that smell nice when you sweat. So if I know it's going to be a hot, sweaty day, I know the right fragrance to wear. The Porsche garage is next for Aya. Not quite. Not quite. I wish, but not quite. Anyway, moving on to the next Dior Privé. Which one should I? Which one? Okay, this is one that everyone talks about on fragrance YouTube. So this is Ombre Nuit. This is the fragrance that every fragrance YouTuber swears by this being the best fragrance in the Dior Privé line. I don't necessarily agree. I'd say my favorite in the line is probably Oud Ispahan, or like Vanilla Diorama, but this is what everyone claims is the best. It's nice. It's like a lot of amber. It's a nice take on amber. I actually have this also because it's kind of like Dior Homme Intense, which is like also like a very amber heavy fragrance. So people also compare these two fragrances. They say like Ombre Nuit is an improved version of Dior Homme Intense. But I just don't, and like Iris also, like amber iris type of thing, like iris amber. But I don't agree with the YouTubers. I just don't agree. It's cool. Like Ombre Nuit is nice, but the way they describe Ombre Nuit is like it's the second coming of Christ. Like I actually need to find you like a review of Ombre Nuit because people talk about it like it's heavenly fragrance. Like people talk about it like if you wear this fragrance, you're going to be the CEO of LVMH immediately. Okay, Rachel says, I like both. The best is the original formulation of Dior. I totally agree. I agree. The designer fragrances are very strong in the wrong ways. I can only use brands like Le Labo and Aesop. I think it also depends. So it's like I'm a huge fan of some designer fragrances, but then some are like just too strong for me. Like I don't like fragrances that are too strong. They give me a headache. Like headache inducing fragrances. So yeah, I like fragrances that are more mellow, subtle, calm, chill. I like those fragrances. There's a guy who I watch on fragrance YouTube. He's hilarious. His name is Trusted Nose. Let's watch his review on Dior Ombre Nuit. This will be entertaining. This will be very entertaining.
Welcome back to Trusted Nose with the man that likes to smell good. I hope you're well, in good health.
He's
Of course,
one of my
smelling great,
fragrances.
smelling thug. Always
He doesn't
just smelling.
trying to sell it to you.
So we got Christian Dior's Ombre Nuit. And listen, this fragrance is playing games. And I'm not happy. Let's get into it. I'm ready. I hope you're ready. So let's go. So I'm going to skip the notes and just tell you what it actually smells. So Ombre Nuit. Ombre Nuit is basically a spicy amber rose fragrance with some cinnamon. But the predominant note here is the rose, and the rose is kind of like romantic. But fellas, it is feminine leaning. So you know what that means. If you adore her, Dior her. But fellas, you can rock it as well. I rock it too. I think smell-wise, this is elite, super elegant and romantic. Yeah, decent juice, smell-wise. So let me go into it. Yeah. So the performance. The performance.
If you adore her, Dior her.
Yeah. Booty cheeks. And you know what that is?
He said the performance is booty cheeks.
That's us, yeah. The performance is okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me give you the full context of me like getting this bottle and why so much has been used. So blind bought this bottle. I think this is like 250 ml. And I bought it where it had like 100 ml left. I saw it at a good price. This was like a blind buy. Yeah. So
but this is Trusted Nose. He gives you like a very cool, like if we go on Melissa Nacional, she's just gonna sell you it. She's just going to sell you it. Like, okay, let's see what Melissa has to say about this fragrance.
Everybody, my scent of the day is gonna be one of my first loves, Ombre Nuit by Dior. And I actually sprayed this last night and I still smell it on myself. So I just love how this latches onto me. But overall, it's like a soft fragrance. Don't expect amazing performance or projection or anything like that. Very much a scent bubble sort of scent. And I know I said that this is one of my first loves. And if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you're like, wait, didn't you say Loewe de L'Homme was your first love? And yes, but I feel like people can have multiple kinds of first loves. You know, Loewe de L'Homme was the first one that really got me in the game, but Ombre Nuit was the one where I was like, oh shit, this is me. You know, when you're finding your groove and then you connect with something, you're like, oh man, and it's just, you fall in love all over again. And that's how I feel about this fragrance. There were so many months where I was just using this every single day. Like even when it was hot outside, I wouldn't throw it on, of course, when it was hot, but when the evening hit and the sun was setting, I immediately reached for this fragrance whenever I went out at night. This was the fragrance I was wearing. It's already like halfway done. And I just reached for it last night just to do like a spray. And I'm like, man, this thing is so good. I really do believe that Ombre Nuit is a masterpiece type of fragrance. I have so much love for this scent. It smells like amber.
She said
and
it's a
rose, and I'm only supposed to do a
masterpiece.
scent of the day
Damn.
video with this, but might as well just do a quick mini review of it in case you haven't seen my older one that I did. But this is a soft, sophisticated, very like flirtatious, seductive kind of fragrance. It's not like fun, flirty, but it's like, you know, when you're just making cat eyes at each other, you know, when you see somebody that you're interested in and you're attracted to, and you're just like flirting through your eyes, and it's getting steamy.
Wait. I have to pause this. Why do fragrance YouTubers always have to bring it back to flirting and sex? And like, how about just like the smell? Why do they always have to do, you know, when you just got cat eyes and like you're flirting and like you're looking at each other and there's Ombre Nuit in the air and then she gets closer and she wants to kiss you? It's like, why can't it just be, I like the smell, this is what it smells like? Like, why? Why does it always have to go in that direction?
Tension, and it's just like, you know, like you know what I'm talking about, right? That is this fragrance for me. Just so many great memories with this, and I love wearing it for myself, but of course every single time I throw it on, a lot of compliments. This thing pulls and pulls and pulls. And you know what? I know it hasn't been in my top fives recently, just because there's been other things, but I will tell you right now, I'm going to make another assumption that this is probably going to be a fragrance you're going to see me doing as my scent of the day more often than you've seen me recently, just because once I smell this again, like usually I don't really wear it right for a certain amount of time. And then once I wear it again, I'm like, ooh, this shit is so good. And then I just repeatedly use it. It's just amazing and a great signature scent. Now, this one is marketed as unisex, and to me, it's truly unisex. It's not one of those unisex scents that you're like, oh, this shit smells way too masculine or way too feminine. You know, it's just right there in the middle. It's so smooth, and it's just like, and I know when I said that there's rose in this fragrance, please don't think it's a mature type of rose.
Oh my God, Maya. You know when you see someone and you want to kiss their feet because they've got that creed on? She's over here listing midnight barbecue fragrances. Yeah, you can't knock the hustle though. Unisex approved, guys. This is real unisex. This isn't that unisex that, you know, sometimes leans masculine or feminine. No, this real unisex.
Or like a red rose, you know what I mean? Anything like that. It's just really well blended with the amber, and it's, God, it also kind of, it smells rich to me. You know, this is the kind of fragrance that just, oh God, fallen in love again. Excuse me. This thing has never, ever, ever done me dirty, and it's never led me wrong. Every single time I have worn it, it's been met with amazing reactions. And even for me, like when I'm just minding my business, not around anybody, and I smell it in my scent bubble, I'm like, damn, you smell good. You know, it's just one of those scents that you just can't get enough of. And before, this was a fragrance that I would apply like, well, for me, I only need to do like 3 to 5 sprays of it just because it does latch onto me and I know that it's not going to be an amazing performer. But there were times that I would apply it twice a day just because I wanted to smell it even more, you know? And it's just really, truly a great scent. My favorite private blend from Dior, hands down. I love it so much more than Fève Délicieuse. Maybe I'll make this a separate video, or, you know, we're combining everything right now. But also Oud, I think it's called Oud Safet. Oud
Ispahan.
Estef.
Ispahan.
It's ISH something, and
Ispahan.
it ends in a D, I believe. But that one I didn't like.
This one.
Fève Délicieuse, not really my not my vibe. But this one is me. This is just like, this was my secret weapon for a long, long time. And whenever I would wear it, people would always ask me, like, when I would hug them, they're like, "Oh my God, you smell so good. What are you wearing?" And I would tell them it's Ombre Nuit by Dior. And they're like, "How come I don't see that when I'm at Macy's or whatever at Sephora?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the private blend. So it's harder to kind of get your hands on, or harder to see."
She stunted on them. She was like, you know, why can't I get this at Macy's? I don't see this rate. Well, it's the private blend, you know. You're not really gonna be seeing this around. It's the private blend, guys. She said it's her secret weapon. What is she using fragrances for that she has Ombre Nuit as a secret weapon?
I don't see that when I'm at Macy's or whatever at Sephora. And I'm like, well, it's the private blend. So it's harder to kind of get your hands on, or harder to see. But overall, this one, people always ask me what I'm wearing. And I remember one of the first few times I gave this a full wear, this girl was like, "Can I have that? Like, do you use that a lot?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." They're like, "If you find one, can you give it to me?" I was like, if I find one, because it's like, I don't know, when I was trying to find this fragrance and search for it, it was sold out a lot. This was months ago, like last year, right? But if I find one, of course, like, I mean, I would want to re-up on my bottle. So I told her politely, no, I am not going to give her my fragrance. So there it is, my scent of the day, the beautiful, beautiful Ombre Nuit by Dior. Let me know what yours is. Have a great day. See you later. Bye.
But anyway, all of that to say that fragrance YouTubers, they will die by the sword, saying that Ombre Nuit fragrance is like the best thing since sliced bread. So yeah. They're not that rare. You obviously just can't buy them in like, they're like Dior exclusive. So if you go into almost any Dior store, you could probably find the private line. You just can't find it in like a department store, basically. But I get all my Dior Privés from duty free because it's like 30% off. So I'd never buy it in a Dior store. I get it from like duty free. Like the UK has really good duty free on fragrances. So yeah, that's where I get it from. But she was like, yeah. People are asking like, why can't I find this at Macy's? Like, I haven't seen this before. She's like, well, it's the private blend. She said, get your money up, not your funny up. Sign up to Hustlers University to learn how to make your money back and more. Exactly, like Chanel exclusives. You can buy it online too. Like, it's not even that exclusive. The way she's like, it's the private blend. You would think it's some like rare, like that you could never find it. Let me go away from the Dior line before I continue doing the Dior stuff. Let me do something else. So this right here is a very cheap fragrance. This is David Beckham Classic Blue. Oh, my camera is cooperating today. Wow. Look at that focus. Anyway, so this David Beckham Classic Blue is a cheap fragrance that I wear to the gym. It's like really obviously fresh, aquatic kind of fragrance. But I really love this as like a cheap fragrance that I can wear to the gym. You know, I'm at the gym, I'm not stinking, you know, the baddies are walking by. I don't want to let the team down, you know. So that's a fragrance that I really love, just to wear at home or to wear to the gym and stuff. What kind of camera do I have? So I have a Sony FX30. You know, the APS-C cinema camera thingy. So yeah. The private blend. No, having a fragrance to the gym matters. Like the reason I started wearing a fragrance to the gym is because I'll go to the gym and people would be stinking the place out. Because some people don't even like shower before they go to the gym. Like I shower before and after the gym. So some people really stink the house down. And because I don't like it, I can't be a hypocrite and be stinking the house down too. So yeah. I have a few kids out of wedlock are sent. That's insane. He said there's a private line called Axe. Anyway, continuing the fragrance, we're going through the Dior Privé line. So this is Fève Délicieuse. This is kind of like a gourmand, as people like to describe it. Kind of like, it kind of reminds you of like food. It kind of like reminds you of kind of like a chocolatey sort of sweet kind of smell. It's really cool. I like it. I definitely prefer, because there's like a mintiness to this when I compare it to like Vanilla Diorama. So I prefer Vanilla Diorama because it gives you kind of like a more, Vanilla Diorama is kind of like a more intimate vanilla type thing, where this kind of seems a bit too playful for me. But there's people that really love this fragrance. There's people that they will die by the sword. It's this one and Ombre Nuit that people love the most, to be fair. People love this and Ombre Nuit the most. When would I wear it? At nighttime. I'd wear it if I go on a date. I would wear it I'd wear it in the winter in the day, to be fair. I'd wear it in the winter in the day. I don't like it too much for summer. It's kind of too sweet, gourmandy for like summer heat and stuff. Not that there are any rules. That's just when I would wear it, but there's no rules to when you should wear a fragrance. Like I don't think there's rules to that. You just wear what you want when you want. But that's my personal time. Dark-skinned man wearing a chocolate fragrance. I know the spicy whites eat that up. If it had Rachel's approval, then you must be doing it right, Aya. Okay, Rachel, that's one of your favorites. Oh, that's cool. Because Rachel is like a fragrance addict like me. What I've gathered from past streams. So Rachel probably know about most of the Dior Privé line, to be fair. Let's see what they're saying on Fragrantica. So they're saying it's a sweet vanilla, amber, warm, spicy. But yeah, so the sour cherry is like the gourmand. You've got like cacao, caramel, milk notes. So very gourmandy, kind of like edible kind of smell. So yeah. I'm saving up from some of our legacy boots trying to look like Dean from the Iron Giant type drip. That's funny. Exactly. Rachel is the resident urban frag queen. That's facts. That's facts. Luke, we're talking about fragrances now, Luke. You've entered the fragrance time of the stream. Oh, I didn't actually know that, Rachel. Rachel says, I'm an editor and reviewer for the second largest fragrance website in the world. Oh, damn. That's crazy. No wonder Rachel knows about every single fragrance. No wonder. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense. Ah, that's so interesting. That's such a cool job. That's actually such a cool job. Like, that's cool. That's really cool. Leo says she's broke fishing. No, she's not. No, she's not. Rachel's so cool. What the hell? That's like such a cool. That's such a cool job. Like I'm actually jealous. Okay, going through the Dior Privés. Okay, this one is kind of cool. So this is Spice Blend. This is Dior Privé Spice Blend. So this was actually the first Dior Privé I bought because I had Spice Bomb Extreme at the time. And even though I do like Spice Bomb Extreme, like Victor and Rolf, and I do get a lot of compliments when I wear it, Spice Bomb Extreme was a bit too like, it's too strong. It's like too much of a bomb. And I wanted something spicy that also smells like clean. So like I wanted something spicy clean. So that's where Spice Blend comes in. Let's focus on that. So that was why I really wanted to get this fragrance. But it's really cool. It's kind of, it's not as complex, I think, as a lot of other fragrances in the line, but it's like a very nice, clean fragrance that lasts a decent amount of time. I think it's actually one of the most basic fragrances in their line, in the Dior Privé line, like basic smelling. Let's see, Dior Spice Blend Fragrantica, since it doesn't want to come up that way. Spice Blend to attract the spicy whites. He's exposing himself. Oh god, that's funny. But yeah, it's very much, yeah, let's see what they're saying. Great for the cold weather. Can be a signature perfume. I definitely agree with that, in the sense that it's a smell that most people would like, that most people would find pleasant, but I don't think it's the most interesting of smells out there. I think there are definitely more interesting smells. Interesting. He's the next urban outed as a millionaire. That's funny. Wait, who is saying it's giving Solange's burner account? Who knows? Solange might be watching the stream, finding the next fragrance to buy. I'm not very convincing with these fragrances, though, because I'm not trying to sell fragrances. I'm just talking about fragrances I own. So I'm sorry if I haven't convinced anyone to invest in a fragrance that's owned by a massive conglomerate that doesn't need more money. But yeah, anyway, moving on. I have a few Gulans that I wanted to show you guys because I love Gulan. So this is something that I mentioned in a past stream when someone was like, "Oh, what's your favorite fragrance right now?" So let me show you guys this Gulan. So this is Gulan Patchouli Ardent. Can you see it? It's focusing more on my fingers than the actual fragrance bottle. Stop focusing on my fingers. No one wants to see my fingers. So yeah, Patchouli Ardent Gulan. So what I love about this, once again, because this line of fragrances in Gulan, they're very much like oud-y, kind of like they're inspired by the Middle Eastern market. But this is the most, because once again, I said oud is too much for me, it's too strong. But with this is kind of like the most patchouli, kind of cleaner smelling oud out of the rest of them. So because I know like I don't like oud, I'm a sucker for anytime someone can make oud smell kind of like cleanish. Like I always love that. That's why I love Oud Ispahan. That's why I love like Patchouli Ardent. It's like patchouli oud, patchouli take on oud. I love it. It's so good. Like super spicy, super strong though. So I only wear this on like the coldest days of the winter, because if I wear this on any other day, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm literally gonna like faint. It's just like it's too much. My friend wanted to start getting into fragrances. I had no idea how to suggest brands, so this helps. That's good. I'm glad I can help in any way that I can. Othalia says, I smell patchouli because of you in France. Is interesting. That's cool. What did you think about it? What's your verdict of the fragrance? What's your verdict? I want to know what you think. I'm so metrosexual. That's funny. That is way too funny. To be fair, I guess most people would think of me as a metrosexual, to be fair. That's actually facts. That's facts. Just found Gulan Neroli. I want it. That's strong. I like the patchouli scent, and I'm not scared of a strong scent, but I get why you said that. Okay, true. Oh, someone's asking what oud is. So oud is like a raw material that comes from trees, like really, really aged trees. It's a raw material heavily used in fragrance, in just fragrances in general. It's super expensive if they use like real oud. Most fragrances, they call it oud, and there's no actually real oud in there. It's like a oud accord. An accord is like when an accord is basically when you use chemistry to mix loads of chemicals together that's made to smell like how a raw material smells. So when someone says, oh, it's a oud accord or like patchouli accord, it means it's not real patchouli. It's like chemically synthesized to smell that way. So yeah, that's like big rundown on like oud. It's just like a really popular raw material used in fragrances. And there are so many different types of oud. And there's oud that's gotten from many different countries. So there's like trees in Thailand where they get oud from, or places in India. And every different types of oud trees have a very distinctive smell of oud. So depending on like where your oud is from, will determine a lot of the time like how it smells. Yeah, exactly what Rachel's saying. Oud is very rare and expensive. It has a complex scent that can be animalic, woody, dark, spicy, terpenic. Yeah, it just depends on what type of oud it is too, because different ouds have very different characters. So it really, really just depends. Oh, people are asking what metrosexual means. Yes, like when straight men are interested in things that are typically associated with like gay men or women, kind of like liking fragrances and caring about how you smell, because men are not supposed to smell nice or care how they smell, or like really being into fashion. That makes me a metrosexual. Oh, Rachel says everything Aya says is spot on about oud. Hey, I'll take it from the fragrance editor. I've been validated, guys. Oud is very powerful. It also doesn't smell that pleasant. Like when it's mixed with fragrances, yes, it smells good. But if you smell, and I've smelled a lot of different kinds of ouds, as like raw materials, and it smells like rotten wood, which is what oud is basically. It's like gotten from like parts of trees that have kind of been decayed over time and stuff. But that's literally how it smells. It smells like stinky ass rotten wood. Exactly, like a very clean and put together straight man. Because apparently straight men are not supposed to be clean and put together. How can a straight man have so many fragrances? That's so gay. But anyway, continuing the fragrances. This fragrance is nice. So this is a classic. This is Guerlain Habit Rouge. This is like a citrus galore, but like spicy citrus fragrance. I love Habit Rouge so much. It's so classic. It's like a serious classic. So yeah, spicy citrus. But I'm a sucker for Guerlain. Not gay if they are panty droppers. You can only be straight if you smell like a shitty booty. After taking a shower, I roll in the mud just so people know I'm straight. I really want to know what they say about Habit Rouge on Fragrantica. Habit Rouge EDT though. I've never actually smelt the Eau de Parfum. But the EDT is for me, yeah, it's classic. Habit Rouge Eau de Toilette was launched in 1965 by Guerlain. It's an amber woody fragrance for men. Amber woody is a stretch. I would say it's spicy citrus. Like all I get is the citrus and spices. Like that's all I smell. I don't smell any woodiness in Habit Rouge at all, but it could just be my nose. Yeah, it could just be my nose. Is there a perfume that smells like a rainy forest? There will be, because there's a perfume that smells like everything. I just don't have one that smells like a rainy forest. Men will bully you for anything that's just growing up being a boy, sadly. Yeah, that's facts though. So yeah, this is one of my favorites in my collection. Guerlain Habit Rouge, big fan. But I don't agree with their take of it being amber woody. I would not describe it as amber woody in any way. Like if you think you're going to smell this fragrance and it's going to smell basically like an amber woody fragrance, you'll be very wrong. They got every fruit known to man listed and they want us to take away that it's woody. Do fragrances deteriorate over time? It depends. So fragrances obviously expire, but not really. It just depends how you store it. So the best place to store fragrances is in a cool, dark place. So I store fragrances in my closet because it's dark and it's cool and it's away from the window. The worst place, like some people put their fragrances on their windowsill. That's terrible. The sunlight would like evaporate your fragrance faster. It would cause the raw materials to go off faster. So it really depends how you store it. Some people are such purists, they store it in like a fridge and stuff. So it just depends. I have friends that their fragrances go bad after a year, and then I have friends that have fragrances that are 30 years old and are completely fine. I will also say it depends on the notes. So certain notes in fragrances have higher like they evaporate a lot easier than other notes. So something like oud would last a lot longer than a citrus, for example. Citruses have a tendency to go off a lot faster. So it's quite complicated. It really depends on what notes are in the fragrance. Yeah, like what Rachel was saying, they oxidize over time. Whether or not you think that process is a flaw or improvement is up for debate. Some people actually like certain fragrances oxidize because they say that when a fragrance has had, there's certain fragrances in the fragrance community where they say that when it's had time to kind of oxidize, it actually smells better. So it just depends how you see it. It really depends. I store my fragrances in the Balenciaga offices next to Demna's design book. Opening the fridge and getting a cup of Dior. Observing the Matrix says, looking at mine on my dresser by the window. Yeah, take your fragrance away from the window. Take your fragrance away from the window. Your fragrance will thank you later. It will thank you later. Rachel says, I recommend putting any citrus or aldehyde fragrances in the fridge. Exactly. Yeah, I guess that's Rachel commenting on me saying that citrus-based fragrances have a higher tendency to go bad than like woody notes and raw materials like oud. So yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice. This is only if like if you're someone like me who has a fragrance collection, then you actually have to be very deliberate on how you store your fragrances. If you're just someone that buys fragrances once at a time, which is probably most people, you don't need to think about it too deeply. Store it in your closet, in a cupboard away from sunlight, and you'll be fine. The fridge thing is for people like me who has a collection, so I can't wear all my fragrances in like years. So if you really want to preserve it, then you have to preserve it the right way. But yeah, Rachel says sunlight is probably the only thing that can actually damage a fragrance. Yeah, which is why I was saying that the person that said, oh yeah, mine is on the windowsill, take it away. Remove it from the windowsill. Okay, Observing the Matrix says, they've only been there 2 days because I moved my dresser that they're on the window and it looks so good, but I know I have to move them. I know, I think that's why most people put it on their dresser. I think it's because it looks nice. It's kind of like aesthetic. You walk into someone's bedroom and there's like the fragrance on the dressing table or the windowsill. It looks nice, but it's just not good for your fragrance. It just isn't great for your fragrance though. So yeah, but I get it. It does look really aesthetic. But the problem is when I don't know how your room is, where the windows are, but when you take the blinds out and the sunlight just a wave of sunlight just descends on your fragrances. They're slowly being destroyed. I remember Zara fragrances getting so much love back in the day too. It was a cult hit. I think Zara still makes really good fragrances, actually. I would say that Zara do still make really strong fragrances. Someone was saying the bathroom. If you have a fragrance fridge in your bathroom, then yes, put it in the bathroom. But putting fragrances in your bathroom can kind of damage your fragrance, because especially if you take showers with hot water, what happens is the humidity and the heat from the mist from your shower slowly kind of like heats up your fragrances, and then it gets cool and then it gets heated. And something that damages fragrances is constant temperature change. So that temperature change between like the humidity of like the hot vapor touching your fragrances and then it eventually cooling down over like the course of months is actually not good for your fragrance. But once again, this is like deep, like if you're really trying to take care of your fragrance. I don't think anyone has to think about it that deeply. Like genuinely, I don't think so. Unless you're like a fragrance collector and you want your fragrance, you want to have your Dior fragrance that's discontinued 10 years later. Yeah, like Rachel said, temperature flux can do weird things to fragrance depending on how stable the molecules are. So it really just depends. But I don't want to like bore you guys with all this like purist fragrance stuff, because it's like I don't think it's very relevant to most people. It's not really relevant information. Observing the Matrix move the fragrance. I'm glad I've been able to help your fragrance live to see another day. But yeah, I think those are the fragrances I'll show. Maybe on another day we can see like a different, like maybe like Celine fragrances. I can talk about Celine fragrances because I love those too. Peaches Kong says, "Don't be ashamed about your hobbies," because sometimes I need to remember that this is a fashion channel. So I don't know how many people want me to bore them talking about fragrances when they've come here for fashion content. So yeah, that's why I'm like, how deep should I go when I'm talking about this stuff, like my different hobbies? It's also easier to damage the skin barrier with physical exfoliation, but it's a matter of choice. Exactly. If you're going to use your fragrance within a year, none of this matters. This is just for people with big collections and who are picky. I'm with you with that, Rachel. Lulu says, I have like 10 to 15 fragrances and I'm very paranoid about getting them bad. Yeah, if you're paranoid about them going bad, then follow the advice that you've just heard. This is the Urbans, though. It's true. The Urbans are the fun group. Fragrance is a part of fashion to me, so I don't mind. I guess in a way that's true. And the fact that fragrances make so much money for a lot of these brands and luxury houses. Us Urbans have diverse interests. My bad. My bad. I should talk about his favorite films and TV shows. I'll do that in another stream. Otherwise, this stream will be too long. You have a very curated audience of people interested in your hobby/learning, so you're probably good. Okay, that's fair enough. I'll take it. Thank you for the encouragement, guys. Here is my latest review posted a couple days ago if anyone is interested. Ooh, I'd love to see Rachel's fragrance reviews. I'd love to read those, actually. Let's talk Porsche 911s. I mean, I love Porsche 911s, but I can't afford Porsche 911s, so there will be no show and tell with that. We can talk about it, but you know, Leo said he's profiling us as narrow-minded fashion fiends. That's funny. It's interesting though. I have a Prada sample I keep by the window, and now that you mention it, it does smell slightly different. Bought it almost a year ago. Yeah, that's probably why. The sunlight might have done its best. It might still, it will still be usable. It's just very different because especially the citrus notes get damaged by sunlight really easily. So sometimes if you keep a fragrance by the window and it has citrus notes, the citrus notes are damaged / evaporated. So now you just have like the woods left. So it will smell completely different. Don't have 150k sitting around. What the fuck? Oh my gosh, that's funny. But yeah, I don't I don't unfortunately I don't have car like supercar money yet, but I love Porsche 911s. They're amazing. If I was rich, I'll definitely have a Porsche 911 without a doubt. That's like my favorite car. It's like the perfect car to me. I lies about being a 1%er and Micah lies about uploading. That's funny. L Brokey. I'm a brokey because I can't buy a Porsche 911. Oh my god. I'm obsessed with Porsche and Alfa Romeo. Like any of the two, Alfa Romeo or Porsche, great. Is it me or do fragrances feel really racially biased? I find it extremely hard to find a good citrus fragrance as a black person. Really? I mean, citrus is my bag. Like I love citrus fragrances. I think there are loads of citrus fragrances for black people. I don't think fragrances are racially biased at all, to be honest. I definitely think that when they test fragrances, they definitely don't make these fragrances with black people in mind. I think when they test these fragrances, it's definitely on white skin. I think the perfumers that make these fragrances are almost always white. So I guess that's the case, but I don't think that the smell wouldn't work on black skin. So yeah, it could just be my pH doesn't work with, I only work with warm woody scents. And that's definitely a thing though. So skin pH is definitely different for most people. And the same fragrance can smell very different on different people's skin. So that's definitely a thing. I would say it's definitely more so your skin pH if you're having an issue with citrus fragrances than it is race. It's definitely more of a pH thing. This is also true. The store clerks may be racial in their recommendations or how they serve you. That's true. And yeah, fragrances are definitely more gender biased than they are like race biased. That's definitely true. Like the fact that I guess luxury brands just assume that women only like floral sweet fragrances. So almost every designer fragrance for women is a floral vanilla. Like it's so funny. They all smell the same. Like all the really commercial like women's fragrances are just like florals and vanilla. Florals and vanilla. That's what women like. And then the fragrance bottle always has to be pink because you know, if you're marketing to women, it has to be pink. you says I'm a warm scents person. Citrus and floral is weird smelling on me. Yeah, people forget that the whole world is their market. They're not going to exclude billions of customers. Yeah, true. I hate going to fragrance areas and department stores because they upsell everything. Yeah, it is really annoying, to be fair. It does get really annoying. It does get really annoying. There's a black-owned fragrance house called Samar that makes one of the best citrus scents I've ever smelled called Grove is in the Heart. That's really cool. I don't think I've smelt that. I'm going to write that down and then get my nose on it soon. Grove is in the Heart. Let me write that down. Grove is in the Heart. That's cool. I despise the clean masculine smell that most men's fragrances have. Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage. Those are just Ambroxan bombs. Those are just like blue Ambroxan bombs. But yeah, just it's a very fuckboy scent. Yeah, good citrus fragrances are hard to find. That's true. That's very true. I feel like a lot of citrus fragrances now, they're all just trying to copy the success of Creed Aventus. So they all just kind of smell like pineapple-y, citrusy with like a bit of like musk, like musky citrus with pineapple. That's the direction that all of them go. Rachel said Jeremy fragrance is not great. Jeremy fragrance. Jeremy fragrance once recommended Burberry London. Let me tell you, it stunk. Oh man, that's funny. That's hilarious. Margiela fragrances are great. That's true. I agree with that. The worst or most overrated fragrance. Oh, that's a hot take. There's so many fragrances that I think are overrated. But I don't want to say something basic like Dior Sauvage, because I think that goes without saying. Overrated fragrance. That's a good question. I'm trying to think, what fragrance do I really dislike? I'm trying to think. Someone said Versace Eros. Versace Eros is what fuckboys wear to the club. That's what fuckboys wear to the club. Overrated fragrance. My issue is that I appreciate so many different fragrances for their differences and their fragrance notes. So it's really hard for me to like totally dislike a fragrance. I guess overrated. I can do overrated. I can't really do the ones that I dislike, but I'd say overrated is like Prada L'Homme, because Prada L'Homme is like this clean kind of. It smells like laundry detergent. It's supposed to be this like clean, cloth fresh fragrance. But like maybe it's because of YouTube that did it to me. YouTubers, when they want to push a fragrance, they overdo it. And there was a time when like Prada L'Homme was all the rage, and everyone was saying that like Prada L'Homme is the best fresh scent out there. There's no fragrance that can compete with Prada L'Homme. So in terms of just like hype, I just think it's way too overhyped. Like there's so many other clean, fresh fragrances that are just as nice, if not better. But they were acting like Prada L'Homme is like like the second coming of Christ. Yeah, it's because citrus notes evaporate very easily versus like deeper, denser, like things like oud. So that's why a lot of citruses don't last long. Most citruses aren't very long-lasting fragrances. Yeah, I'd say Baccarat Rouge is also really overrated. I love it though, but it's overrated. But I definitely love the smell, but it's definitely overrated because it's the way people talk about Baccarat Rouge. People talk about Baccarat Rouge like it's the most unique fragrance in the world. This man said that Versace Eros is a scammer smell. Yeah, Baccarat Rouge is stunning. I do think it's overrated though. It is stunning, but it's really overrated. Tom Ford scents. I think Tom Ford makes amazing scents. Like I definitely think that I have a Tom Ford scent. What's it called again? Oud Wood. Yeah, I love that fragrance. Oud Wood. Really, really nice fragrance. I'm a big fan of it. Overrated, maybe Mancera. Yeah, that's true. Mancera is seen as like they're seen as like these kind of like entry level, like niche niche fragrances, which is why I think a lot of people swear by them. But yeah, I do think a lot of them are overrated. There are a lot of designer fragrances that are better smelling than Mansera, but I think because it's like an elitist thing. People view Mansera as like niche fragrances, so they're like, well, but I've got a Mansera, mine is niche though. So yeah, that's like, yeah, I can understand why you think Mansera is like really overrated. Oh no, not Paco Rabanne 1 million. That vanilla bomb, just sweet on 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 sweet. Just sweetness mixed with more sweetness mixed with more sweetness. I don't know why I just can't buy Tom Ford. It feels like the Thanos of fuckboys. I bought Oud 2 times because I thought I lost the bottle, but it was buried in my luggage. I mean, it's a great fragrance to have 2 bottles of. I'll say that. So yeah. It's more like the people who wear it can be annoying. Oh man, that's funny. Oh, the Lion by Chanel is really good fragrance, by the way. That's a really good recommendation. Really, really good. Really, really good. There's a fragrance YouTuber who got me into Chanel L'Exclusives. His name is Eugene. I think his YouTube channel is called You Smells Good. He swears by Chanel. Like, that's all he talks about. Like, he swears by Chanel L'Exclusives. Like, that's one of his favorite fragrance lines. Like, he loves it so much. So yeah, shout out to Eugene. It's like fuckboys grew up to buy Tom Ford. I must be a fuckboy when I wear Oud Wood. Yeah, MFK does make really good fragrances. I don't own any MFK fragrances. I owned Baccarat Rouge in the past. That's kind of like one of my first niche fragrances when I was first getting into the fragrance thing. But yeah, they're really good though. They're really good. They're really good. I just like exploring with different fragrances. And I also like buying new fragrances too, just to like see what new stuff is like. Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. I mean, none of the Chanel fragrances are cheap. Not even the forget the exclusives. The normal fragrances for Chanel, like even Bleu de Chanel, is not that cheap. Like Dior, what other Chanel like Dior? Sorry, I said Dior. Chanel. What's that fresh fragrance? What's that? Let me Google it. It's like one of the Chanel designer fragrances. Chanel fragrances. What's it called? For men. Yes, Allure Homme Sport. That's it. Allure Homme Sport is not that cheap either. Especially like the Eau de Parfum, like for 100 ml bottle is like £120. That's kind of spenny. Oh, Rachel says, I love Eugene. His fragrances are great too. Yeah, he launched his own fragrance line, right? But yeah, Eugene is cool, but he loves the Chanel fragrances. That's his thing. Adidas cologne for the vibes. Facts. I used to wear Adidas colognes for wearing to the gym because they're so cheap, but then I wear like the David Beckham fragrances because they're like kind of like fresh blue fragrances. Kind of cool. Kind of nice. Fragrance. Gemalone is cool. Yeah, Gemalone is cool. I think it's kind of one of those like there's better fragrances out there, but Jo Malone is cool. There's better fragrances out there. There's people that hype it, but I think just it's fine when people find a fragrance brand that they like, they hype it. It's like Le Labo has like a cult following. Like there's people that swear by Le Labo. They're like, oh my god, another 21, nothing beats that. So I think it just depends. Like people have their sort of tribes with fragrances. How about celebrity fragrances, the good and the bad? Celebrity fragrances are a bit of a mixed bag because they're supposed to be really commercial smelling. So a lot of them aren't really interesting or nice. So most of them are really horrible, actually. But there are like a few celebrity fragrances here and there that are kind of cool. I'm trying to think of like, there was like a Beyonce fragrance one time that was like really cool. Trying to think of what other celebrity has like a decent fragrance, but most of the time they're not great, to be fair. Someone says I have another 13 by Le Labo. Yeah, I told you. That's what people love. I think I said another 21. It's another 13. That's how you know I'm not a Le Labo stan. Another 13. What's another one of those like really popular Le Labo fragrances? I can't remember them right now. Another 13. Santal 33. That Santal 33. What's the other one that people swear by? Another 13 and Santal 30. The Noir. The Noir. That's like the Noir, like what is it, like 29? People love those three. The Santal, the Noir, and like another, they obsessed. People obsessed with those fragrances. Refuse to buy anything from Lady Gaga. What don't you like about the way that Le Labo sells itself? What is it about Le Labo that you don't like? I'm actually just curious. I've been validated, guys. Rachel was impressed with my collection. Validation, guys. Oh, the exclusivity. Is the Labo exclusive? Like, in what way is it exclusive? I don't really know. Obviously, I've tried a lot of the fragrances because some of my friends own the Labo fragrances, but I've never actually bought a Le Labo fragrance myself. So that's why I'm asking. I'm actually curious. I don't really know how they market things. That's interesting. I come here for education, my urbans. The Noir is actually fire. My roommate has it and it smells insane on her. Yeah, I mean, the Le Labo fragrances are nice. It's just because they have such a cult following, it's just funny. It's like the way people swear by it and like will say, there's nothing better. There's absolutely nothing better. I think Le Labo is just very much a cliche at this point. I even have, there's like a fragrance here. I have like Terre de Hermes Parfum because I wanted to like try it out. So my friend had like a refill bottle. So I have these like tiny bottles where you just like pour the refill liquid. So this is like Terre de Hermes Parfum. It's kind of cool. It's kind of, it is what it is. Like it just smells like any other Terre de Hermes. But I do like Terre de Hermes though. It's kind of cool. Nice clean smell to it. But I do this too. This is how you know I'm a fragrance addict. Fragrance addicts, right? We have all these kind of like empty bottles of like things where I can like decant my friends' fragrances. Like my friends they'll have a fragrance that I've never tried before that is like interesting. And I'm like, can I pay you like £20 and like decant like 20 ml of this fragrance so I can try it for myself? And like test it and see if I actually like it. So I do that all the time. Are there any fragrances you guys like that smells like outside when it rains? I know that's kind of vague. I'm trying to think. Outside when it rains. I don't necessarily think I have a fragrance that smells that way, to be fair. That's better than a 2 mil $15. I just wish brands would try harder to do interesting packaging. Like 40% of the reason perfume catches my eye is how the bottle looks, and most of them are so boring. Do you know what is weird? So like about that, right? So this is Carolina Herrera Bad Boy Le Parfum. This fragrance actually gives me a headache, by the way. I just like it as like a case study of like super strong fragrances. I bought it to see if I can get over my fear of super strong fragrances, and after spraying this a few times I realized that like I don't like it. But anyway, look at the bottle of this. It's weird because designer fragrances normally have like really fun, interesting bottles, and then you have like all the niche bottles, they're always so like plain and translucent, like Chanel and Celine and Dior, all their private lines, even Yves Saint Laurent, their private line is all these like translucent bottles. So I don't know if that's like a marketing thing where they make the designer fragrances have more interesting bottles, and then the private line is supposed to be more like classy and more, you know, like prestige. So they're only going to give you a translucent bottle. Usain Bolt's perfume. Oh, Rachel's talking about, yeah, when niche houses are bought by conglomerates, they mess up all the fragrances. They like start messing up with the formulation so that they can use cheaper raw materials and make better profits. And yeah, the bane of any fragrance house is when a big company buys it. Like, it's really, really bad. I used to think my dad's Mugler fragrance bottle was Axe when I was younger. What's the most bizarre fragrance I wear on the regular? Bizarre fragrance. It depends what you mean by bizarre. Like, it depends what you mean by bizarre. Well, a fragrance I love to wear is like called Bentley for Men Intense, which is like this really cheap kind of like boozy, leathery fragrance, which is very different to like what I normally like, but I just like that fragrance. So I guess that's kind of bizarre, and it's also, people describe it as super masculine smelling. Like when you watch reviews about Bentley for Men Intense, people like, the type of man that wears this has to wear a leather jacket and be super masculine, because people think of fragrances in such a very simplistic way. They're like, you have to be super masculine to wear this. Only a real man can wear this. But I just like the fragrance. So I guess it's really bizarre because my taste in fragrances is not normally like ultra traditionally masculine, right? Let me see if we can whip up a fragrance. We can whip up a fragrance review on YouTube and see what people say about Bentley for Men Intense. Let's see what Jeremy Fragrance. Let's see what Jeremy Fragrance has to say about Bentley for Men Intense. Well, actually, let me not do Jeremy Fragrance because he's actually not going to say anything of any sort of value. His YouTube channel is called Chad Secrets. Let's see what Chad Secrets has to say about Bentley for Men Intense. Let's see.
Make me a Bentley for Men Intense. Make it strong. Cheers.
No, too much music. I don't like that.
You don't have to spend a lot of money to smell good. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a fragrance that's around $30 for a 100 ml bottle. And this fragrance is incredible for the price, especially for the upcoming winter months. And now that we're into fall, this fragrance is going to be working really well. And of course, that fragrance is Bentley for Men Intense. So no, this is not a new fragrance. No, this is not a hidden gem fragrance. This is probably one of the more popular and more talked about cheaper fragrances for the fall and winter, but this is one that I just now picked up, and a lot of people have been requesting that I grab a bottle and do a review on it and include it in some videos. I already included this one in a couple videos that I've put out already, but now I'm getting around to doing an actual full review on this one. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how this fragrance smells, how it performs, when you can wear it, and I'm basically just going to give you my full thoughts on Bentley.
Oh my God, Rachel says that Bentley for Men Intense is an insider's scent. Rachel is making me seem like a fragrance expert. I promise you guys, I'm not a fragrance expert. I just really like what I like. Rachel is the expert in this stream, not me. I just like certain fragrances.
Bentley for Men Intense, and I'll tell you at the end if I think it's worth the $30 that this one goes for. A couple things really quickly here before we get into the review. First, leave your comments down below telling me what you think of this fragrance, if you've tried it, if you haven't, if you like it, if you don't. Second thing is, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, that'll start to settle down on your skin a little bit after. That'll start to settle down on your skin a little bit after a minute or so, and then what you start to get coming in after that is a little. And that's not something that you get all that often. Typically, when you're talking about fragrances in this price point, you're going to either be
okay. Let's
go and talk about when you can wear this fragrance. I kind of already mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but I'll cover it quickly. This is a fall and winter fragrance, and I would say that's about it. Of course, you could wear it year-round if you wanted to. This could maybe be a signature scent if you were feeling like you want to do that, if you're daring enough, because this is kind of a daring.
Yeah, Leah, I'm with you. He is kind of like boring. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, I think we're gonna have to find someone else to talk about Bentley for Men Intense, because I don't think he was moving the needle. Let's see what
winter fragrances I would keep for the rest of my life. Bentley for Men Intense. Now, yes, I used to hate on this fragrance, but we're not going to talk about that today. If you want a gentlemanly, mature, leather, boozy, woody fragrance that is glowing, very ambery, it's just very sexy and seductive DNA for like an evening lounge environment.
Oh, here we go. Sexy and seductive. For a gentleman, sexy and seductive.
This is incredible value and incredibly expensive smelling when you consider how much you're paying for it. Lasts a really long time and good projection as well. Winter fragrances I would keep for the rest of my life. Bentley from...
Yeah, I know this guy. This is Umar from School of Scent. Leah was saying I've seen him before. He's a big fragrance YouTuber, like over like 100K subs. So yeah, it's very, yeah. But I love Bentley for Men Intense is amazing. Like, oh my God, you can see all my recommended videos on like MBA videos. Fashion Roadman Exposed. Let's see what this person has to say about Bentley for Men.
This is everything you need to know before you buy. Stay tuned.
If someone unattractive wears a sexy fragrance, what does he become? Mid.
Before we hop in the video, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and turn on notifications so you'll get notified when I post another video. Now hit that like button. It really does help my videos get out there further and reach more people. Now without further ado, let's hop right into the video. Okay, Bentley for Men Intense. The three top notes in here, which are the three main scents, are rum, leather, and a wood.
He's like rum, leather?
So it's going to give off this real masculine vibe. And if you're trying to go for that, I would recommend you pick this one up. It's $40 on Amazon right now. I luckily got it for $15. I had a little bit of extra Amazon gift card.
No, you guys are crazy. Not Ross from Friends. How did I have time to watch anything fashion between NBA and Japanese baseball? Hey, I'm a mystery. I don't know how I do it, to be fair. I just have loads of interest and I can keep up with all of them at the same time. With fashion being the thing that I focus on the most. But yeah, I just catch up with things. Even just recently, I was watching, because it's the under-17 basketball World Cup. So I was watching the game live between USA and France under-17s not too long ago, actually. Oh, Rachel says, I have good taste in fragrances. Guys, validation. What Leo said. I'm moving like a baddie. I might have the same sleep regimen as me. I barely sleep though. I'm a vampire. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Try watching Sam at My World of Fragrance. I don't think I've heard of that channel. My World of Fragrance. That would be interesting. My World of Fragrance. Yeah, I'm going to check Sam out after. That should be fun. My mom used to say, I don't sleep, I blink. Someone's asking me thoughts on the finals. I live in Boston. No offense, but it was honestly one of the most boring NBA finals I've ever watched. I think the NBA finals has kind of lost its aura. I don't know. There's just something about this NBA finals. It wasn't as exciting as it usually is. I don't know why. Congrats to you guys though, like Boston, the Celtics, for winning. But it just wasn't very interesting. It wasn't like you already knew that Boston was going to win. They had a better, more balanced team. I don't know. It just wasn't that interesting. But it's cool that obviously Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they proved the haters wrong. They got a championship as a duo. But yeah, just the aura of the NBA finals. I don't know. It's kind of just, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of just not the same. It's really not the same. This is also true. A lot of teams did have injuries. That's facts. In my 20s, sleep was short, but now sleep is the emperor and I'm their loyal subject. That's what everyone always tells me, that the older you get, the more sleep becomes necessary. Bro said it's all right. Y'all okay though? Why don't you think Tatum proved the haters wrong? Because he didn't win finals MVP. Is it because he didn't win finals MVP? Yes, this is actually part of the reason. I think it is because the East was so weak. Because the West, these guys were out here fighting World War II in the West. Like the Nuggets were beat by the Timberwolves, and then the Timberwolves beat crazy teams in the West. The East was just kind of a bit of a cakewalk. My dream is to still live in my city when the Bulls get back-to-back championships. The Bulls winning back-to-back championships is going to be a very long time from now. Person said he played so mediocre, even as a role player, was not someone that could shine in the West. That's not true. Tosin is a Boston Celtics hater, confirmed. Jason Tatum definitely played well. He technically had better stats than Jaylen Brown, but Jaylen Brown played championship defense. That was one of the biggest reasons why they won the chip, which is why he won the finals MVP. But to say that he didn't even play like a role player, I don't agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. Yeah, Jason Tatum was definitely the best player on offense. That's facts. He just wasn't the best two-way player. So I think Jaylen Brown had more impact, definitely. But he wasn't the best scorer. By the time the Bulls went back-to-back championships, I might be in my 50s. That's going to be a long, long, long time from now. A very long time. As a Bulls fan, I support players from other teams. Do you know what's funny? When I first started watching the NBA, it was when Kobe was in a final series against the Celtics, like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and that team. And that was also around the time when Derrick Rose was tearing up the league. So my favorite player when I first got into basketball was Derrick Rose for that reason. Even till now, prime Derrick Rose is my favorite player. But it's sad what happened to him. Good night, Pilar, by the way. Have a great day or night or afternoon, wherever you are. But yeah, it's was that 2009? Yeah, that would have been when I started watching the NBA religiously. So yeah, Derrick Rose was so good in his prime. He could have been an all-time great, like the kind of player that they talk about being in the top 50 of the NBA all time. Silver, gold, brass. Oh, you're in the UK. Okay, great. So have a great night. Have a great night. Culture says I stopped watching the NBA in 2001. Damn. So much has changed. So much has changed. But anyway, on that note, guys, I shall be taking my leave. There's going to be another stream tomorrow. I've basically become a full-time streamer at this point. So look out for that stream link. Tomorrow's stream will probably be a lot later in the evening, maybe like 10, 11 p.m. UK time. But look out for the link. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll be back with another stream